We ready to go? Are we on? Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to the April 23rd, 2025 official Town Council meeting. Welcome all our guests. Welcome the fellow council members and administrative staff. Meeting officially called to order. Good start. Roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Here.
Vice Mayor Luskin,
Here.
Councilmember Mendel, Councilmember Bernstein,
Here.
Councilmember Einstein.
Here. If we could please rise, and Chief Rudy Herbello, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, appreciate it.
Let's all face the American flag and repeat after me. I
Pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome everybody. First on the agenda is a proclamation declaring April 29th End Jewish Hatred Day. So I believe there's someone here to accept this.
Yes.
Yes. If you could introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Jennifer Ensline.
Yes.
I have a few words. Is that okay?
Wait, can you, hold on 1 second, let them.
So everyone to my right mostly, a few to my left, are here representing End Jew Hatred movement. They're all activists supporting me. My name is Jennifer Ensline, and I'm honored to stand here today representing the End Jew Hatred Day organization. Our deepest gratitude goes to Vice Mayor Laskin and the town of Golden Beach for issuing a proclamation recognizing End Jew Hatred Day on April 29th. This is more than just a proclamation. It is a powerful statement that hatred has no place in our communities. By taking this stand, the town of Golden Beach sets an example for cities across to follow. Now more than ever in these challenging times, we must come together in the spirit of bipartisanship to confront and eradicate Jew hatred. This is not a political issue. It is a moral obligation. Recognizing and fighting Jew hatred is essential in preserving the values of justice, equality, and freedom that define our great nation. Today, the town of Golden Beach sends a clear message. Jewish civil rights matter, and our communities must be safe for all. Other cities have been inspired by your leadership and have joined in recognizing End Jew Hatred Day every year on April 29th, as well as Miami-Dade Public School Board. Tonight, we commemorate Yom HaShoah, the Jewish Memorial Day for the Holocaust. We remember all of the 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust and honor the survivors. We honor their memory by reaffirming our commitment to never again. Sadly, 80 years later, Jews are living those times again and facing hatred once again. Since October 7, 2023, Israel has endured multi-front threats from Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Judea and Samaria, and Iran. As we celebrated Passover and Easter, both spring celebrations, let's not forget the 59 hostages who still remain in Gaza, including American Edan Alexander. We cannot truly celebrate freedom while they remain held in captivity in tunnels in Gaza. Bring them home now. But through it all, the Jewish people continue to rise, to persevere, and to bring light in times of darkness. Thank you, Vice Mayor Laskin, Mayor Singer, and the Town Council for your loud voice, for standing on the right side of history. Let's continue this fight together. End Jew hatred. Thank you.
Thank you. And this evening, the town of Golden Beach, as mayor and my fellow council members, are going to present you with a proclamation from the town of Golden Beach where there is an urgent need amongst us for unification to raise awareness for the End Jewish Hatred Day. Whereas there's an obligation to condemn and combat Jewish hatred in all forms, and we commit to do our part and rally together to help put out the end of hatred and anti-Semitism throughout the country, and where we can work together to promise, to prosper, and for the future of the Jewish people worldwide. Where therefore today, Mayor Glenn Singer and the Town Council and the Town of Golden Beach do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2025 as End Jewish Hatred Day from the Town of Golden Beach. And I'd love to
Thank you.
present this proclamation to you.
Absolutely.
And I can't thank you enough for coming and accepting this. I speak for the council and the Town of Golden Beach. And we're honored.
Come on up and turn around that way.
Everybody get in? Ben, get in? Can you get everyone in, Mike?
We're gonna make it work.
You can get in the front.
I got it, Eric. Michael, I got it. Yeah, because I have one of those Zoom
Benny,
things.
get in.
All right. Everyone look this way. We got everyone. Everyone look this way.
I resent them today.
If you can't see the phone can't see you. Excellent.
I said apologize for
I don't know how it happened, but it's okay. I mean, once you got very, like, pissy. I said,
I wrote and said I apologize for any inconvenience. Don't think
Mayor,
so. I resent.
am I on?
yes.
Mayor, while we,
You'll get a copy tomorrow. I resent it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The other thing, I'll talk to you.
Yes.
Mayor, so, Mayor, before our residents depart,
Thank you, Benny.
before our residents depart, I would just like to share with our residents the many great opportunities that the council has provided to the members of our Jewish faith. We were the first city to take immediate action to make sure that our residents feel safe as they're going to prayers and celebrate the holidays. As you know, we're the first and only city in Miami-Dade County, Broward, and Palm Beach County that has provided emergency call boxes that with a wand of a hand activates cameras here on the south side of town. During the past holy holidays, we provided over 150 extra hours of police protection while our residents went to practice their faith and celebrate the high holidays. We will continue to do everything that we can to make sure that people know that this community is not a community that you come and try to disrespect or try to intimidate. Our police presence is always committed to providing that excellent service, and we never want anyone to shy away from celebrating their faith, and know that you have our town's commitment on that. In addition to that, the Sabbath gate is open for prayers, and know that if there's anything else that we can do to make our residents feel safe and celebrate their religion and their faith, know that we're here to do that. And congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. The next presentation, I would like to take a moment and have a moment of silence, and we could all stand for our General Maintenance Director, Ken Jones, who passed away this past week. Ken worked for the town for probably close to 20 years and was a dear friend to everybody in the community. And he was like a fixture day and night in Golden Beach, and he will be dearly missed. And with that, I'd like to have a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Mayor, real quick for the residents. Next, wow, I'm getting choked up. Ken was a pillar of our staff. I know the public works staff and I will miss him dearly. Know that next Friday from 12:30 to 1:30 at the Beach Pavilion, we'll have a small service in his honor. We are the only staff that Ken had, and family that he had. So please join us next Friday from 12:30 to 1:30 at the Beach Pavilion. Thank you.
Sure. Hold on one second, go on.
Expression.
Let's just keep that mic on.
You've come a long way, baby. Having practiced law in this town for probably 60-odd years, you've come a long way, baby. This place is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
See you.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along. We have motion to set agenda, additions, deletions, removal of items from the consent agenda, or changes to the agenda. I have none. Fellow council members? None. Staff?
None.
Okay, perfect. Moving right along, we're going to go to good and welfare. Is anyone here speaking good and welfare?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I have
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Mr. and Mrs. Friedman.
Hi. Okay, so, to start?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Allison Friedman. This is Rob Friedman. I won't give you our address, though I do think it's relevant. We are here because I was told, I have a complaint with the town, and I was told if I wanted to talk to you and not have it be in a legal avenue, that this was the only way that I could do it. I don't know if you're familiar, I have sent a letter to the town, but we moved in 2002, October of 2002. We moved into a house with a garage conversion that we were told was legitimate, lawful. I've lived in that house with my 3 children who were always on their bikes or doing whatever, especially when we got a sidewalk, and you drive by my house and you'd see that conversion. No one ever said a word to me. Almost 20 years later, I get a phone call from Miss Epperson at the direction of the town, not on her own, and that I was mistaken about, saying, you have a garage conversion, it's unlawful, you need to get a permit for it, you need to get plans. I talked to her about it, and that was it. Then it came time to renovate our house in 2022. I came to the town with plans for my renovation, and I included that conversion in the plans because I was under the impression that's the proper thing to do because I have an unlawful structure in my home. Everything was approved for the renovation except for that garage conversion. That garage conversion delayed our renovation for 3 months, which means we were renting. It delayed everything. We ended up having to move into an unfinished house, but that's not it. The building inspector, and I met with Ms. Epperson and the building inspector many times. We had to drill a hole in the floor in the room, remove all the baseboards, put a hole in the wall and in the ceiling, and hire a structural engineer to come in, check all of that, fill out a new, I'm not really good with the whole architecture building thing, but whatever the plans were for that, and submit it again to the building inspector. And the building inspector said, I'm sorry, Ms. Friedman, Mr. Friedman, this does not meet code. You're going to have to demolish the room. Devalues my house. It's a problem because we actually used that room for something, and we were frustrated. But the building inspector was like, wait until the end of your renovation, and we'll address it then. Come to the end of the renovation. Okay, so they're doing the renovations. Ms. Epperson calls me in December and says, Ms. Friedman, guess what? I found the approved plans for your garage conversion. They're signed as of November, the town's copy, November of 1994, 8 years before I moved in. I was told it was a legal conversion, and that was it. Come time to get my final permit from the inspector, and he says, what are you doing about the garage? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing? I have the plans. He's like, let me see him. Comes over, walks in, looks at the room, looks at the plans, says, you're all good to go. Final permit, inspection granted. By the way, Ms. Friedman, why do you have a hole in the floor? Why do you have a hole in the ceiling? And why do you have a hole in the wall? Just to add a little more salt to the wound there. So we're here now because this was all for naught. Someone in the town made a mistake, and they made a representation to us that we had no choice but to rely on. I'm not going to come to the town to renovate my house knowing that I potentially have an unlawful structure. I came to the town, I did what I was supposed to do. We're out of pocket. We had suffered a lot of aggravation, and I think the town has to acknowledge that a mistake was made. If your records aren't clear in 1994 and you're not sure whether or not a permit was issued, then you should not represent, or plans approved, you should not represent to somebody that you have an unlawful violation in your house. What if I would have torn that room down? I would have lost value in my house. I'd have one less bedroom. And that's why we're here. We feel that the town should take some accountability for the fact that we suffered. 23-year-old residents really have never done anything wrong, you know, minding our own business, and we just feel like we were victims. So I wanted to express that to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else for good and welfare?
Yes, sir. We have a letter to be read into the record from Mr. Jacques Miodownik.
He's here.
Oh, he's here. Okay.
Hello, I'm Jack Miodownik, 693 Golden Beach Drive. Yesterday we have a meeting. I had a meeting with you, Mayor, and also Alex, and I think we clarify our main concern. We have been uncomfortable since a couple of years already, having the trash truck temporarily parked in front of our house. And, you know, the way it was closed, we weren't happy about it either. So we clarified yesterday. I'm very happy that you confirmed that that location was temporary. And once the construction site in the south of the city will be done, the truck will be replaced in that area. So once that's done, I feel comfort. So that's it. And also, of course, you mentioned that the landscaping was going to be improved a bit, and we were not going to be able what's going on in the site you're using as a storage area, whatever it is, where you're having some pumps and other things for the city. So we really appreciate if you can do that at the soonest.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay. Anyone else from good and welfare?
No, sir.
Okay, moving right along. Wait, you don't comment on good and welfare. You can do it in your minutes. Yeah. Yeah. So, moving right along, mayor's report. I'm going to keep it short because we have a long meeting. The only thing I want to mention is we have a mayor speaker series on Monday, April 28th, 7 p.m. here in the Civic Centers, where Aventura Hospital is going to come with, they're going to have several doctors and a panel. They're going to discuss breast health, women's health, hernia prevention, heart health, joint health, and longevity. It's, I sit on the board of Aventura Hospital, and they told me it's going to be very informative and a lot of information for the residents, and I urge everyone to come. It'll be a nice evening. It starts at 7 o'clock, probably last 2 hours max. You can come and go as you please, but I would suggest you come early to see all the speakers speak. And I'm very, very excited for the event and look forward to it. And that's all I'm going to have under mayor's report. As I said, we have a long council meeting. So I'll go to council comments. I'll start with Vice Mayor Einstein. Oh, that's right, Councilman Einstein. Vice Mayor Luskin.
Okay, I don't have that much, but I still want to reiterate that construction starts at 8 a.m. in Golden Beach, but they're coming in as early as 7. It's just at the crack of dawn then, and I'm still a little bit uncomfortable that there's so many cars parked up and down Golden Beach Drive when they're not starting till 8, and they're here at 7, and it's still somewhat dark. I think that's something we need to look into. The paving that we've done so far in town, it looks incredibly beautiful. I don't think I realized how much we needed it until all of a sudden I see it complete and finished. It makes the town really look sharp and clean, and I'm glad we're continuing along with that. Singer Park. It's not the first I've brought up Singer Park in regards to what we're doing behind there. I'm glad to hear that we're confirming that the garbage truck won't stay there, and that at the same time, we will be very careful as to what we put back there in terms of equipment that we want to keep. I know we don't have a lot of space in town to hold a lot of equipment, so that may be a good area. If it's really sectioned off completely and landscaped nicely. But it does still kind of bother me that it's a children's park and that we worked so hard at getting Rock Park converted to Singer Park. I just want to make sure it stays pristine and it doesn't become a junkyard.
I agree.
I would hope so. I would hope so. We worked hard at getting Singer Park.
You did. I appreciate that.
So last but not least, we've had great success with the Golden Beach Youth Leadership Group. Finally, we've got a nice group of kids together. I want to remind everybody it's only a month away, but we're doing a very spectacular Memorial Day. We're doing a dove release in honor of all the veterans that have passed. So please mark that date down. It's a ways off. It's May 26th, but please consider coming to that. And I think that's all I've got for today.
Thank you. Councilwoman Mendel?
I have none.
Thank you. Councilman Einstein?
Yeah, real quick. Ken Jones, to his family, to him, he was a fixture in Golden Beach. He helped out, I would say, everyone in this town. If he was walking, you needed something, some help, some way, some emergency. It seemed like 12 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, Ken Jones was there. He worked the machinery. You could constantly see him go down. I think he trained a lot of maintenance people, showed them the right way and the wrong ways to do things.
Or his way.
He corrected the wrong ways they were doing things.
And he let us know. Sorry, let us know.
Oh, yeah. Let us know. And I think he prevented and tried to prevent
Flooding.
future accidents from happening with some of the new maintenance people, so that they would be trained right. Again, he will be missed. He was here for a long time. Real quick, and I just want to throw this out here. The lawn maintenance trucks have seemed to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not like they're a one-truck situation. It's the one truck, the garbage they carry behind it, and then there's like an assistant truck that they have. So it's like 3 trucks long now on Golden Beach Drive.
You talking about town trucks?
No, our lawn maintenance, private enterprise. I don't know if there's something we can do, recommend. I mean, my own guy has it. I noticed, for whatever reason, when they go on the ocean, they're able to go into driveways and they seem to do their business or they carry it out. We don't see the lawn maintenance trucks typically parked outside on A1A. But on Golden Beach Drive, it's a fiesta. There can be, sometimes you go down Golden Beach Drive, there's 20 trucks that are there, and they're just, it's too much. I think it's a problem, and they park on both sides of the street, so you get ingress and egress problems, and I'll take photos to point it out.
Thank you.
And
No.
one last thing. I think what the town does in terms of the rights of people and especially in this case for the Jewish community, I'd be remiss if I did not mention the fact that, yes, this is Yom HaShoah coming up. It's a commemoration. I personally had 4 grandparents and 17 aunts and uncles who were killed in the Shoah. And it's a testament to our town that we are able to do things like this today, that we can provide freedoms. It's sort of a testament to my parents that all was for naught, and these people who have died, that something has been done, that people have seen what they've done. My parents were in Auschwitz, and, coming out of there and being able to see this, to have a child like me in a community like this, and see what we can do to help all races, ethnicities to practice what they want. I think that's a testament to that, and I thank the administration and the council and all those who participate in that, and I think we should be proud.
Thank you, Councilman Einstein. Councilman Bernstein.
I first want to just say my first time meeting Ken Jones was probably my first month under construction here, or contemplating it. He came over, introduced himself. Couldn't have been nicer. It made me feel very welcome in Golden Beach right from the start. He's been kind of a fixture around here forever, and I think probably most Golden Beach residents who've been here a long time have similar stories, and were made comfortable very early on by him. So he'll be missed, and just want to express my sympathies. To the Freeman family, I'm very sorry to hear your story, and before I moved into Golden Beach, I had a similar story with Dade County where I had, where they built a fence and they said, you have to tear it down, and I can appreciate the situation. I ended up having to tear it down, and then we found papers years later from someone who previously owned it, who supplied it to us. I'm sorry to hear that, and but I'm glad to hear that you didn't tear it down. But I know that the building department's trying, and you know, some of these older documents sometimes it's difficult. But I'm just very sorry to hear about that. With the trash trucks, I empathize with you. I look at this area over here where we've stored things, and see when you go to on the north side, and hopefully that's just a temporary use, although I realize in the future there might be needs for it, but I'm glad to hear that they're getting it off, and Alex walked through the plan. As we're talking more and more about variances, and I think in the last meeting we talked about the issue with the pool and the pool deck and what is a patio, and we're hearing more and more variances that are regarding people violating or coming in for variances. And I just think when we start looking at the code, and Steve, I meant to call you this past month about it, but I just think one of our priorities and what we're looking for in the code changes should be to try to protect some privacy in people's backyards. That I know when we moved in here, if I would have had a neighbor looking right on my children, my ex-wife would have wanted to move immediately. And I just think that as we're looking at the new code and we're talking about giving expanded rights to homes and trying to get rid of some of the contradictions in the code, that we should be thinking about it in terms of protecting people's privacies in their backyard. And I hope, I mean, to me, that's one of the most important things. And looking forward, I realize we're always going to continue to have bigger and bigger homes whenever they get constructed next door. But if we could do it in such a way that, or when we're looking at the code, to do it in such a way to protect those privacies, I think that should be one of our primary responsibilities. To that point, I had a neighbor in Golden Gate reach out to me, and he did it several times, and he was just saying that as we're building this, our center in the back, the wellness center, that it's going to be opening and looking at all the different backyards of all the different families.
There's no windows in the back.
There's no windows back there.
Okay, and so I just want to make sure that, I was just bringing that up so that he'll be happy to know that. I know I was happy to see on this plan that we're talking about paddle, and I don't think we really reached out to the community to talk about it, but I've had so many people, and I believe many of you have had people talking about paddle courts, and I think it's really, when I look at the growth of it, maybe it's a fad, but I feel like it's going to quickly surpass pickleball, and I just think that as we're looking at the plan, the idea of keeping additional pad open for paddle is going to be something that will be attractive for having in this community. And I don't know if it makes sense to try to get some straw votes or for people to see it, but they built a beautiful, I don't know if you guys have seen the paddle, but
We're going to discuss it during the park.
okay,
So
but if you go down, there's, in Solomia, they built a reserve, and it's like what the tennis courts in the 70s and 80s, or you know, 70s used to be. It's just, it's packed with people. You can't get a reservation. They're popping up everywhere, all throughout the city. And I would just suggest everyone go take a look at that before you kind of make a full decision on whether what the future of paddle in this community is, because I really believe it's the fastest growing of all the sports. Days, I really enjoy going, but I realize that it's so important to keep so many of these relationships and meeting people so that when we have problems in the future, they can be quickly resolved, and enjoy going with the mayor, Councilman Einstein, and Alex. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Bernstein. Moving along, we're going to go
Oh,
to.
I'm sorry, one last point.
Time's up.
I recently went to our building department trying to do a structure, And I just, and trying to put out our documents, it was so tight in there. And
Why did you go in there?
like when you open up your plans and you're trying to go through,
Why?
just try to bring plans in there, watch when someone brings plans in there. The area is very, very small.
I've seen plans in there. It's,
I apologize that you had that experience. Residents and developers are not supposed to go behind that door. There are other rooms that should have been facilitated. I will correct that with the staff immediately.
And all I was gonna suggest is that, that we start being able to maybe even use the council.
I apologize once again because no developer or staff or resident should ever go behind that door. That was an error in staff judgment, and that will never happen again. You have my assurances.
Okay, and I was just, this wasn't a condemnation, it was just trying to think forward on how we had more space, so.
That was a staff error. It should have never happened. It will never happen again. I will correct that immediately.
thank you.
It's ominous.
That was a
Moving on
staff
to,
error.
Moving on to town manager's report.
Good evening. I will try to keep my report brief, but it is cumbersome.
You're on the clock, so.
So, my report will be submitted in writing. So we did have a very successful holiday season. Thank you and happy Easter and Passover to all of our residents. For the audience members who spoke on good and welfare, what typically happens is that the council will give you direction, and I'll meet back with you and confer with you on where we stand. But please stay for my report. It's always very exciting. Video, please. Pleased to announce that, video, please. Pleased to announce that our drone program, video, please. Pleased to announce that our drone program has launched. We now have aerial drones that we patrolling our town's beaches throughout the day and throughout the night to provide better enforcement of the beaches, specifically as it relates to people who are occupying the beaches. As part of our drone program, over 99 individuals in the month of April were removed from our beaches for recreating in the town's shorelines. Know that we will continue to provide additional security features such as the drone program to watch individuals who are recreating in our towns. Stop the video. As part of our growing enforcement efforts, we have had traffic enforcement details on Golden Beach Drives that have yielded over 19 citations issued to residents who failed to yield to stop sign or who continued to speed throughout town. We held a very successful spring break event. Thank you, Michael Glidden, under the direction of Michael Glidden, our resident
Alex,
service.
can I stop you 1 second? Why don't you explain what the drone system is going to do? Take a second, slow down. This I'll let you elaborate and explain how we're using the drone.
Sure. So our drone program has been launched to provide additional resources to our police department. The drone is an automatic drone. It auto flies the beaches. It takes 15 minutes to do the beach from north to south. It has infrared at night, as you can see in the box in the bottom. So it looks for heat signatures, and it allows us to follow individuals who may be in areas that they aren't supposed to be in. And it also provides, instead of sending the police officers to go drive the beach, which will still happen, it's just additional eyes on our beach. We are the first city in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach to use drones to surveil the shoreline looking for individuals who may not be there. Tonight, you have an item that you'll be passing. After 10 p.m., no one should be on our shorelines. The drone will report to us if the screen finds individuals walking on the beach. It's part of our new expanded enforcement efforts that we're doing to provide security.
Turn up the temperature.
Correct. So the video will light up that it sees a body or someone in an area, and then the guards are alerted that it sees someone in the viewfield. In addition to that, the drone has a speaker. And so we can actually hover and say, you're sitting in an area that you're supposed to be laterally traversing. Please continue the lateral traverse. You cannot recreate. It allows us to communicate with the public. And this is a great idea. Chief Arbello brought this concept to me. And with the approval of the council, we moved forward with it. I can't thank the chief enough for continuing to expand the way that we can provide enhanced securities. Also on our beaches, starting tomorrow, if should the council vote, we will be providing a retractable fence on the shoreline, reminding individuals they cannot be in our shoreline area from 10 p.m. to 6
Can I see that again? Is that up here?
From 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. It's not up there, but it's here. Let's zoom in. So a retractable fence that tells people that they should not be in our beaches from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So we are super excited about the ways that we continue to keep our community safe, specifically to our Ocean Boulevard residents. Spring break. We had a very successful we had a successful planned spring break. We provided it for our Dade Broward schools and our parochial schools. Michael and his team did a great job in putting it together. We only had one family participate. So as we launch programs, we're going to start eliminating programs that just don't have a high yield. So we won't have spring break next year, but we will bring it back when the wellness center is open to see if the wellness center brings in the attraction. But Michael, great job, keep it up. We like the services that you offer. This weekend, Chief Herbello, Lieutenant Perez, and Joseph Batista will be traveling to Tallahassee. As you all know, Sergeant Batista was injured in the line of duty, and he's being recognized by the state for his courageous efforts. Him and his family will be honored in Tallahassee with the governor and the lieutenant governor, and he's being recognized for his bravery and courage and the services that he provided to Golden Beach. Chief, represent us well on that effort. Joseph, we wish you luck, and thank you for your service to the town of Golden Beach. Our police department continues to provide enhanced security and traffic enforcement details. Community is warned. We will be having a vessel enforcement detail during the Memorial Day activities, and we are doing DUI checkpoints throughout our community. They'll be properly notified in our letters. We are also enhancing our visibility on Ocean Boulevard. We now have motors deployed Monday through Friday on Ocean Boulevard. We have a lot of work ahead of us tonight, so in keeping things very brief, I want to let everyone know that starting tomorrow morning, we'll be seal coating the north end of town from Navona to the park area. All residents living north of Navona are asked to please park your vehicles south of Navona so that we could seal coat that area. If you haven't seen the area, please look at your mailboxes. We are going to be seal coating that area. As it relates to our day-to-day activities, I just want to thank the mayor and council. It's important to stay relevant in Tallahassee. We were able to get a waiver of permitting for our fences on Ocean, and that's why we were able to get our retractable fences. I can tell you that that would not happen if we did not go to Tallahassee and present our case and have the state give us that waiver. So thank you to Mayor Singer, Councilman Bernstein, and Councilman Einstein. Ladies, I know you wanted to come, but it wasn't your turn. Next year, I welcome you to join us on that trip.
We ran the town. While you were gone, we ran the town.
I love it. It looked great. And on a final closing notes, on my remarks, know that we received more seized assets, forfeited assets.
By the way, the town manager was amazing.
Thank you.
During day days.
Did a great job.
Got to witness that in person, and wow.
Thank you, sir.
He was.
And you should mention the tax appraiser.
And so as part of our efforts in Tallahassee, we are looking to get cameras on Ocean Boulevard, the gates on Ocean. But there was a serious attack from the Miami-Dade tax collector wanting to impose a 2% surcharge on all cities. We led the City Managers Association led a very concerted efforts, and by the time that we returned from Tallahassee, he agreed to not charge the cities that 2%, which for Golden Beach equates to $269,000 that we won't have to pay next year for tax collection services as part of our efforts. And so kudos to our team. And two last things. One, Rudy, good job with our forfeited assets. As you know, we still have 2 officers who are deployed on forfeited assets. We got 2 good DAGs that are coming in. And as always, I'd like to just publicly thank 2 groups of people. One, your senior staff and all of your staff members who have worked around the clock to get us to today's agenda. Thank you to the senior staff and to all of our support staff and to all of our clerical staff. Happy Administrative Professionals Day. You truly are the workforce behind the administration. All of the directors and I and the council want to thank our administrative professionals for the hard work that you give to our community day in and day out. Mr. Mayor, that is my report.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is K, quasi-judicial resolutions. Before I do that, I don't think anyone needs to speak, but if anyone's planning on speaking, please stand up and raise your right hand. Michael, I don't think you need to speak, but you might as well do it. And face the town clerk. And town clerk, can you swear them in, please?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Promise? Okay. First on the item is item number 1, a resolution of Town Council approving a variance request for the property located on 472 North Parkway to permit a pool setback to be 7.5.
A resolution of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, authorizing and approving variance requests for the property located at 472 North Parkway, Golden Beach, Florida, 33160, to permit the pool to be set back 7.5 feet from the side yard property lines when the code requires the pool to be set back 10 feet.
I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I need a second.
Second.
Alex, since there's no one objection, why don't you just give a quick summary?
Well, two things, because we do need to make, we need to bring the item into proper formatting. So this particular setback is, as you know, on an undersized lot, we have a tighter, a greater setback to 7.5 feet. We didn't change the code as it relates to structures like pools and the like. This variance is to have a 7.5-foot setback for the pool on both sides. This item will be amended, the motion to be to grant the variance as amended by the manager's report. So we are going, the administration and the adjacent neighbor is supportive of allowing a 7.5-foot variance on the pool only on the west side of the property, maintaining the 10-foot setback on the east of the property so that it does not infringe upon the neighbor. There is no objections, and we support this variance being granted. And this is one of the things that we'll clean up during the code process. But this, as amended by the manager's report, you should approve this variance.
Okay. With that, since there's no comments, since there's no objection, I'll open it to council comments, but there's really no need to discuss. Any comments? No. Nope. Public, any comments? Nope. Make a motion to approve. Roll call. What's
As amended by the manager's report.
as amended by the manager's report? Roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Luskin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Einstein.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Congratulations. Item number 2, resolution of Town Council approving a variance request for the property located at 472 North Parkway, allowing for a second story to non-step in 1 foot for every 18 feet in height.
A resolution of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, authorizing and approving a variance request for the property located at 472 North Parkway, Golden Beach, Florida, 33160, to permit the upper section of the proposed structure to not increase the side setbacks along 2/3 of the second story by 1 foot for each 1 foot of building height above the 18 feet, when the code requires an increase to the side setbacks along 2/3 of the length of the second story by 1 foot of building height above the first 18 feet.
Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Town Manager?
Mr. Mayor, as you know, the town code requires step-ins on the second floor. This particular applicant actually yields us more open space on the second floor by redistributing the percentage of first floor to second floor area ratio. We are going to be asking the council to change its code as it relates to what you could build within the setbacks, and that's going to be part of our zoning discussion this evening. However, as it relates to this item, the neighbor has not objected so long as it's the design that was presented after the variance request. So the motion will be, by the way, and there are some conditions that I'm going to place on it. The motion will be as to the design as accepted by the town manager. That way, when they put in for permitting, I'm ensuring that it's the correct plan. And number 2, that no foliage fall from the roof to cover the wall. We're asking for a bare wall, no landscaping over the wall. So it would be the design as accepted by the town manager, which is the one that was presented to the Gibbs as it relates to the structure. We do think that it's time to change our code as it relates to second floor step-ins and first floor ratio. So this variance should be granted. There are no objections from the neighbors, and there were no objections from the adjacent neighbors, but as amended and accepted by the managers, by the manager, so that we know which one we're approving. I know which one we're approving, and I know which one the Gibbs didn't object to. So let's make sure that we say it's the one that I accept.
Isn't it the one that's presented today?
No, there's a couple changes.
Oh, well.
Okay.
Just so there's no misunderstanding, does it have a date? Is it initialed? Is there something that we can reference?
Yes.
We're allowing hedges along the side of the wall.
Yeah, so look, in essence, it is the one that's in the packet, but there are a couple changes that we're going to make to it because what's in the packet has seating and a tree, and there's a couple things that we're not going to do, but just know it's the same design. It's a step-in that we all saw today in my office, but we're gonna, with my initials, as initialed by the town manager.
So I think what the reference should be, which is on file with the town manager.
That's correct.
As of
Yeah,
the date approved
yes.
by the neighbor.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
As
So
of
you'll
today.
confirm the plans.
I know what the Gibbs have asked for and what they've agreed to. I just want to make sure that the final presentation that we get is still meets that, because there was a couple of things that were proposed that we're not going to accept, and it has to do with like some foliage hanging from the roof onto the wall. We're not addressing that, so the council should accept the design, and I'm just going to make some modifications that we did not get today.
Okay.
But just to be clear, the Gibbs,
Are completely in favor of this, 1,000%.
so they
Yeah.
worked it out.
And we have their letter that we have for the
Any
record.
council comments? No? As long as they approve? Any council comments? Any public comments? Michael, I just want to make sure you understand the conditions.
He knows.
So, okay, perfect. With that, I'll do a roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Luskin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Einstein.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, congratulations. House is beautiful. I'm sorry, Steve, I skipped you, but I save you for last.
that-
Is there any,
No.
oh, now that I came back, you got to say something.
Okay. The only thing there was, Ken, I think, mentioned that we had not chatted, but that he was concerned about some of these zoning issues. Actually, that is the next item, I think, on the agenda, zoning review. So this is that first opportunity to now dig into those issues.
Okay, thank you, Town Attorney. With that, we'll do major project updates and presentation. Town Manager,
Yeah.
start.
Mayor, members of the town council, we're going to try to go as quick but as thorough as we can. I have Chris Gratz, our town planner, who will join us at the podium. So as you know, we've been working over the last couple of years to try to clean our zoning ordinance to kind of come into modern times. One of the first things that we did was we raised our seawalls and mandatory seawall replacements, and then we went to a new elevation for first floor finished grade in zones 2. We took that move because we saw the tides were changing and homes were coming in. So we only addressed the 9 NAVD, knowing that we would have to suffer together how to get to that 9 NAVD. The problem is that our community is so unique. The west side of Ocean Boulevard is not the same as the east side of Golden Beach Drive, and it's not the same as the west side of Golden Beach Drive and on the islands, and forget the parkways. So we've taken the time through your building advisory board and through your staff. So over the last 2 summers, the staff and the planning department has worked together to come up with some recommendations for our BREB members. And I want to thank Mr. Klinger, who's in the audience, who's a BREB member. And Mr. Hollow would have been here tonight, except for he's sitting Shiva with a personal friend of his. So Mr. Hollow, thank you for allowing me to make this presentation on your behalf. And then we learned a lot when Mr. Klinger applied for his first variance on North Parkway, and it really tested our approach to these issues. Tonight, I want to have a conversation with you about how we're dealing with elevations and how to get to that first floor finished grade. I want to put into the record that I'm going to be directing the town's planner and the town's attorney to do away with the hardship requirements for variances, because no one ever meets them, and that we should take a different approach as it relates to what you are allowed to design within your setbacks. So if you do not ask for a setback variance, design a home that meets your setbacks and give the authority to the building advisory board to accept that design so long as it does not affect the privacy of the neighbors and minimizes the impact to the neighbors. That's going to be a challenge for Steve and Chris to work on. But I think that the days of first floor, second floor, step in, not step in, really limits what we're seeing from international architects that are coming in and trying to provide homes that aren't cookie cutter, Doral, Golden Gates Estates. And so we know that we've seen the evolution of our code, and what we want to do is not stifle design, but protect privacy and the impact to the neighbors. And so that's a challenge that we have, and we're going to be working on that. While we get there, we'll suffer together through this waiver what we call today a variance. And so know that that's the direction that we're heading in. Today, Chris is going to speak about the side yard, rear yards, and elevations and driveways. Steve and I will briefly talk about Ocean Boulevard, developable space in Zone 1. With that, Chris, briefly go over the hard work that you've put. And I also want to recognize Omar Sahi, who's on Zoom, who has been a consultant to our planning department as it relates to how do you deal with some of these civils. Chris, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. So briefly, so the town took the big step with the raising the finished floor elevation to 9 NAVD, which is unprecedented in any of the towns around us. So what that really does is have us shift our focus in the code from being written to be focused on the heights and elevations from the crown of the road to the lot. So in essence, what we had to work through was how to make an adjustment from the grades and how high the dirt is on the property from the perspective of getting into the house versus our low street elevations here. We have roads that are only 1 to 2 feet above sea level. So the change really, and the result of the code really was giving us an uncomfortable 9 steps into somebody's house, a new house. That's very uncomfortable. So what we've worked with and come to a conclusion with was to allow like 11% grade in the front yard, starting from the back of sidewalk or starting from the edge of pavement, so that someone can have only 4 or 5 steps to get into their house and still be able to have a reasonable driveway, a car that can work in the driveway. We've modeled every fancy car that we could to make sure that the slopes and grades would work, so that would work. So the front would be taken care of that way, and also with the front change how we measure fences from that measurement come from the crown of the road versus the lot elevation, because the lot is going to be higher where fences could possibly be in the front. And then the second really big issue that came up was the inability to have a step outside on the side of the house. With that 9 foot, with the way the code is written, it was impossible to be able to have a door that opens up that you step out into your side yard. So the result would be the conclusion to have on a full-size lot to let somebody have 2 steps out of out of the side of the house.
What do you, full-size lot meaning?
More than 75-foot frontage, like 10,000, like 11,000 square feet. So there's undersized lots and there's full-size lots. The undersized lots are pre-existing and can't be created anymore. The full-size lots, people are taking undersized lots and combining them and making them bigger. So we have some that are a little bit smaller where they're allowed to have a 7.5-foot side setback versus a 10 setback. So when you have a 10-foot setback, the conclusion is when you're allowed to have 2 steps to get out of the side of the house. When it's a 7.5-foot setback, only 1. So that it's not very difficult to get in and out, and that's it's a design feature everybody wants to be able to get out of the side of the house to get back to the pool. And which leads me to the pool. So the code needed to be changed to allow pools, patio decks, that whole debate on what's a deck, what's a patio, what's a pool deck, to allow that to be 1 step out of the back of your house. So there's not a tripping hazard, an inconvenience of going out the back door of your house to getting onto your deck and getting into your pool. So that was a major issue to have to be dealt with, because the way the code was written, the pools had to be sunk very low. And we've also come up with regulations to accommodate the new infinity pools and allowing them to be a certain height within a certain distance, especially on the waterfront lots. And then speaking to the privacy issue, one of the adjustments we recommended would be in the Zone 2 on the dry side lots to allow the fences to be higher in the backyard, because there's a high grade elevation difference between the Zone 2 lots on Ocean Boulevard and the Zone 2 lots on Golden Beach Drive, where there's a significant difference. So allow someone to have a fence higher in the back so that when you're on that Golden Beach, the Ocean Drive lot, it's a 6-foot wall on your side, but on the other side, it'd be up to a 7-foot wall, but the people have privacy on that side instead of having to just try to solve it with landscaping. Now, the code recommendation would be to be able to change that with a fence. And other things was just based just be very simply how where we have like steps, walkways, and all that to be measured and allowed from a height based on the grade of the lot, again, not from the crown of the road. And that's really about, and then also Just a minor, having the code be consistent and all be in NAVD. So we can write it to be an NAVD and NGVD, the confusing grades and elevation things, but it's simpler to have it on the new modern standard, which is just a reference point on where you measure things from the earth. But to have it real consistency, we've had like, I recall we had one mistake in construction due to that, so we can eliminate those sort of things, and I think,
So,
see here in some of the drawings, you can see how the slopes can work and come in.
so here's where we are. So we know that we have to get from the road to the first floor slab at 7 NAVD, and our road is at a different elevation throughout the city. And the question is, what do we do with the site? And so what the board has recommended, and we are in favor of, is that we should allow the site to be elevated so that you can transition from your home into your side yard, so that you could take out your garbage, walk your dog, bring in the barbecue, and you transition on the side, sideways, not straight out. So you'll have a platform, and then you kind of go down into your grade level. That when you're that you should have about 6 steps to get into the home from the driveway area. So you're going to go up a ramp, it's an elevated ramp, to get to your flat area where you park your car, go a couple steps into the home. And then when you want to go from your home into your backyard area, you should be able to go just 1 or 2 steps into that backyard area, into your pool. But if you want to go to your dock, then you go down a set of steps to get to your seawall level. And I think some of you have already visited the new house on South Island Drive. That's a perfect illustration of how the code will, and we want to thank that member of the board who allowed us to use that as an example, so that the homes all have a functionality that is safe and it keeps everyone safe. Now, how do we do that while respecting some of the older homes that aren't ready to get there? And so we've talked about putting in retaining walls and walls, softening it up by making open areas like open fences above that wall, so you don't have a solid wall. So you have some landscaping. So yeah, you may see a stem wall that's holding earth back, but then you have some landscaping, so it's not this hard wall on you. We now require, and this is through administrative action, we now require drainage systems, not French drains, on all sites. So every house moving forward must put in a well. It must have a collection system. And at every driveway, it must have a collection at the driveway. There is still some cascading effects from the driveway into the road. I will remind the council that your current code says water that falls on your property stays on your property. If it falls in the right of way, we're responsible for that. And so we are requiring through administrative action wells, collection systems, not French drains, not retaining areas, not swales. We want you to gather that water and put it into a deep well. That helps with what happens with water coming off the property and into your adjacent area. We soften that look by putting that landscaping. We believe, from a functionality perspective, that we need to keep the pool decks in the rear yard at the same level. You don't want kids having to run downstairs to go into the pool. So these code recommendations, and I have Mr. Klinger in the audience, who is an active member of the board and who has actually built a house with some of these conditions. If Mr. Klinger, if you could join me at the mic. That it works, but it's not a one code solution to every home. The Parkway homes are different. The homes with sidewalks are different. So we're going to be drafting, Steve will be drafting, how do we codify this design intent into our code? And we think that we've found a happy balance. Now, the community will be in transition. Mr. Klinger, your thoughts, insight?
I think we baked this thing about 95%. I think that, a few more little details here and there. Some of the challenges will be on Golden Beach Drive, where there's a sidewalk, because you don't get the benefit of the distance between the street edge to the back side of the sidewalk for sloping. all of you have come to the house and I showed you how 11% looks. The challenge on Golden Beach Drive, again, is that those 10 or 12 feet that you don't get that benefit, but they are 175-foot deep lots versus 165 on the intercoastal. So you have a longer lot to deal with. I think it's all going to work out. We're going to see some architects bring in some interesting design. I think some of the things you're seeing here, one of the slides you saw earlier where you saw that 11% slope going straight all the way up, I don't think that that's going to end up being built if you have a U-shaped driveway. It will be built if you're doing straight up. There's not this one. There's really not a need to do this. The only reason to do this is if you want 4 steps, you can go with 6 or 7 steps, which is relatively still okay, and drop down your garage. And therefore, you don't need to do 11% all the way up. You can do 11% to the property line and then start to level down to about 4 or 5%, which is still comfortable for playing basketball if you want to on your driveway, or for elderly people to step out and not trip.
Mr. Klinger, real quick, because you brought up an interesting point that we haven't highlighted. So we are allowing for the garages to be built at a lower elevation because it's not your habitable space, right? So you could have steps with inside of your garage and keep your garage at a lower level. I did ask the question because I know that there are some members of the board that have families that are in wheelchairs. And so how do we deal with ramping and wheelchairs? And Mr. Klinger elegantly highlighted to me that you could put a lift inside the garage and you have one of those lifts in the garage to help facilitate somebody who's, as we're getting older and I'm getting there, some elevators inside the garage to help you get into that area. You could also do a little bit of ramping. So we did look at that as well.
Right. So on the islands, it works. But you said, like on Golden Beach, like you said, Golden Beach Drive, which majority of the homes are beside the ocean, you can't do that because otherwise it's going to look like a weird neighborhood with all the driveways, going up on a slant like that. I mean, that's not solving the Golden Beach Drive homes.
So I think Mike Basech's house, I think it's 270 Golden Beach Drive. Visually, I haven't checked the plans, but visually it looks like what this is, which is that the garage, and next time just drive, I think it's 270 Golden Beach Drive. Is it 270? Yeah, I think so. You have the garage at the same level as the house, and you have a pretty steep slope, and it doesn't look so bad. These pictures are a little bit misrepresenting because what you don't have is the hedge that normally exists along the side. So like if you came to my house and you saw the Paysachs on one side and Richie Casino on the other side, you'll see a hedge that softens the
But that would be good on a 100-foot lot, but a 50-foot lot, it's going to be awkward. I mean, right?
The drop down?
Look like a huge
Yeah.
slant.
It's going to look like it's a house built on a tilt.
Remember, we don't have
On a
that.
100-foot lot, you can hide it, like you said, you can spread the mass, and it's not going to be as noticeable. But a 50-foot lot, I'm talking about Golden Beach Drive, I mean, it's going to be, in fact, we have that issue with some of the older homes in Golden Beach Drive where there is a slant, and then there's some sinkage, and then the driveway is like 2 feet below the garage. And that's happened on several homes on Golden Beach Drive.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the difference between the widths as far as the slope goes.
Because I think with a 100-foot width, it's not as noticeable, 100-foot frontage. On a 50-foot frontage, I think it's more noticeable that.
What you're going to have is you're still going to see the same slope as long as you set the driveways in, what is it, code 5 or 10 feet? 5 feet. A 100-foot lot could still put their driveways all the way to the edges, and you would only have 5 feet of landscaping to slope down, assuming you have to come down off the sides. And we actually discussed this in the workshops about a 1 to 2 ratio.
1 to 2 max.
Is how much they're going to allow for visually seeing the kind of the grass slope down, assuming that the lot next door is an older lot and you have to slope down. If it's a newer lot, then everybody will be doing the 11% and it'll be kind of flattish.
So on Golden Beach Drive, a 50-foot lot, you're going to have what's it, 7 feet? Is that what you're talking about?
No, the driveways can be set in 5 feet off the edge of the property line. So whether you're 100 feet or 50 feet, you're probably still going to have the driveway kind of pushed out to the edges. Nobody's really bringing those in because they do landscaping. But if you have a 100-foot lot, you're probably going to do a U-shaped driveway. If you have a 50-foot lot, you're probably going to do
Straight
a kind of 20-foot wide, ramp all the way up. You're not really.
Right, that's what you said. The 100-foot lot, they do a U-shape. It's not going to be as noticeable, I don't think. But on a 50-foot lot, you can't do a U-shape. You can do a straight driveway.
I think what you'll see, if you go see 270 Golden Beach Drive, Mike
look at
Bayside,
that,
you'll see exactly that. He's got about a 20-foot wide, single driveway going straight up. Visually, I mean, you'd have to check the plans, the as-built, to see what elevation he's at, but he's likely at what the garage is going to be.
And so look, the idea is, we've got to figure out how to start harmonizing so that you provide usability of your property, not just inside the home, but as it relates to your children wanting to play, throw the basketball. When you open your car door, it doesn't slam shut because it's at a higher degree angle. That when you're parked your car and you get out, you're not feeling like you're going to tip over. And so there's not a one answer solution to this issue. We are going to be having to look at it by zones and by types of lots, and bring some recommendations. And some of it may be at permitting, right? That the civil engineers, how does the site work? Because all of our sites are different. Everyone says, oh, they're all the same. They're not. I may have a transformer that pushes my driveway a little bit one way or the other. Sidewalks versus non-sidewalks. D-curb versus gutter, right? So some of our streets have a D-curb, and some of them have a gutter. So we're going to continue to flush this idea out. I think that we spent 2 years really getting here, and now we're going to take, if the council believes that what you're seeing in terms of the diagrams and the discussion that the BRAB has had during 8 meetings is where we are, and like Mr. Klinger said, we are at about 95%, let us start drafting. And some of that drafting may say, as accepted by plans, right? So we may not be able to condition it in writing what we want, but it may say as accepted by plans or as adopted by the Building Advisory Board and approved by the civil engineers. I do want to, if the council feels comfortable, that's the direction that we will take as it relates to this issue, and then I want to dive into 2 other issues before we end our zoning discussion for the evening. And I also just want to, again, thanks Chris and Omar for the hard work that they've put in trying to get us to where we are today.
Can I ask a quick question?
As many as you like.
And I don't know if you've addressed this, and I wondered if you thought this was different. Suppose you have a new house going on A1A, on the dry side of A1A. Currently, their setback in the back is 25 feet versus 35 feet. They are also allowed, with the new GNAVD, whatever it is, their crown of the road has always been higher than Golden Beach Drive. So there was a house that was, I'm on the dry side, interior Golden Beach Drive. The house that was built on that, and this is going back 25 years ago, is very monolithic. I mean, it just comes right in my face. I buffered it with trees. But I can't even imagine a new house going in there now with the,
Well, we have the perfect.
new GNAVD, and them going back and them being allowed the 25 feet versus the 35 feet that everybody else has in town.
So we have a perfect example of that. So behind the Kessler house.
The whose house?
Kessler, John Kessler?
Yeah.
On the north end of town.
Yeah.
A newer home at a higher elevation, still not at the 9, but pretty darn close, has been built.
Davis too.
Yes?
It's huge.
Yeah. And so look, you're always in zone 2 because the ocean side is higher. You're always going to have that, taller structure. But if you look at the new house that was built next to you on Golden Beach Drive, next to your empty lot.
Yeah, yes.
Right? You're starting to see a little bit of a meeting of the minds between the back and the front. If you notice the new house across from your house, Councilman Berstein, it's at that higher elevation, and you're starting to see that it's starting to meet the west side of Ocean Boulevard, and the walls are all working to kind of bring them together. We still, as it relates to Zone 2 Ocean, we're keeping the setbacks at 25. We're not changing that. They have a little bit of a more unique circumstance because there's very little land left once you put the pole in.
Yeah.
And so how do we retain that? And if you look at the house that Gustavo just recently delivered on Ocean, it seems to work. But we dealt with that through a civil review process to get them to what they needed to do to have a functional backyard.
It,
And part of that also is they were allowed to be built at 11, and now the code is 9 and it's 9. So the new houses on that zone are lower. When the new houses are built, they are actually lower.
So it was reduced from 11 to 9?
In the new code.
where,
Is the
where
one-
was
is your
that?
house
Where's
at
that?
11 or 9?
9 NAVD.
Where was it 11?
Fix more on Golden
Because at the time, the FEMA elevation maps allowed 11 in that area, and we set it to 9.
And what area are we talking?
North side, 500 block, 600 block of Ocean Boulevard. North side, dry side,
Golden Beach Drive?
Ocean Boulevard,
Ocean Boulevard.
On the dry side.
Ocean dry side.
Does
At
any
one
of the
time, they let them
council
do them at 11 feet.
NAVD?
NGVD.
So Alex. you
11
wanna
is
go-
10 and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Guys, thank you very much. Chris, you said something, I guess I went to Mr. Klinger's house, which I think was one of the most beautiful houses I've ever seen in Golden Beach, but it was the slope to get up to the actual door just seemed very, very steep to me. And you said something at the very beginning that I thought our code was kind of reflective of what the minimum standards of FEMA wanting for our height. Are we much higher as a community than most other communities?
Let me be careful how we answer that question, so let me take the lead on that. So as you know, this community took decisive action in making and standardizing our first floor finish elevation, having nothing, absolutely nothing to the public to do with FEMA or flood. And we've got to be careful with that. So we decided as a community that when given a choice of, our residents never chose. You used to have a choice of, you can go to base flood +2. Knowing that FEMA flood maps were going to be changed and are still going through that review process, we decided, having nothing to do with FEMA-based flood maps for the record, to take the lead and establish a first floor finish grade at 9. Independent and without regard to where FEMA is going, and that we have to be very careful with. And we said, we are no longer going to allow you the choice of, because when presented the option of choice of, whether it's seawall cap or first floor finish elevation, no one ever chose the higher grade. And as part of building a more resilient community, we decided to set first floor finish elevation at 9 NAVD and seawall caps at the 5 NAVD, no longer choice of. And so when you see the community today, and many houses are at different level, some people decided to go choice of, and others said, no, I'm not gonna go choice of. And so what the council said is, look, we're no longer doing choice of. You now have to build that one elevation. And so we need to be very careful how we talk about this because of the rulemaking process with FEMA.
Well, I guess hearing that we've gone from 11 to 9 and just looking at the slope of Mr. Klinger's house and listening to the problems and seeing this, I'm just questioning, is 9, like, however we came to 9, and at the time, just looking at it right now and saying, is 9 kind of too high? Should we be considering?
And everything we looked at, I would say unequivocally no. It's just the amount of steps that we need to, that we can live with and accept getting into the house.
The reason why Michael Klinger's house is that way, he alleviated, a tremendous amount of steps. I mean, otherwise he would have had more steps.
Well,
Let me also clarify the 11-9 thing. I think it was a misnomer because 11 was
GVD.
9 is NAVD. You have to add 1.5 feet, so it's really only 6 feet.
6 inches, correct.
Change, what the change was.
Correct.
It wasn't a 2 foot.
Thank you, Mr. Klinger.
And so several things. As you're adjusting for new homes and listening to Mrs. Freeman, Mr. and Ms. Freeman, talk about their older homes, how are we dealing with the older homes that don't need to be completely torn down and going forward with modifications to their homes so that they're not being required to build up to.
They're not, and I want to be careful how we answer this, because the Freeman scenario is a really bad scenario. So when a home wishes to make improvements to its home, they must present the town with an appraised value. And if the improvements of the home exceed 50% of the value of the home, then the home needs to come down, because it must be, and this is very important, if they do not meet current zoning and floodplain management, we will lose our insurance rating and your insurance will go through the roof. And so we challenge very aggressively to ensure that we don't lose our insurance rating like Key Biscayne did by playing slippery slope with its zoning rules and enforcements. So when you're making a substantial remodel to your property and you exceed 50% of your appraised value, and we do challenge the appraisals, because I will never allow a home to affect your credit rating for insurability. And so you trigger FEMA replacement at the value of the work that you're doing.
That's been there forever.
And more importantly, the only time that we can force you to bring something into compliance with your zoning rules is when you come in for permitting. So when you have an existing non-conforming use structure and you want to make improvements to your home, we're going to make you bring that into compliance, as in the case that was described earlier tonight. And as a reminder to the public and to the council, having approved plans does not mean that you have a permit. In fact, you cannot apply for a permit until such time that your plans are approved. And often, more often than not, plans are approved and permits are never applied for. And so, if someone believes that a set of plans that are approved have a permit, simply bring me a copy of the permit or permit number. Because you cannot apply for permits with unapproved plans. Thank you.
I'm kind of deviated from my question a little bit. What I was saying, in the event that you have an older home and you want to adjust your driveway, and your house is at a lower elevation than the 9 NAVD that we're requiring, and we're putting in new standards for what driveways should be and different things. If somebody goes to do a new driveway, if I'm listening to you correctly, I'm just making sure that they're not going to have to raise it to whatever our current code is, that they're going to be able to.
That's a maintenance, that would be like a maintenance permit.
No, and these grades are optional maximums is what we're saying.
Correct.
So it's not a requirement, they're optional. You still can have the garage low and the driveway be low to go in.
So these changes to the code that we're doing, I just want to make sure that we're protecting homes that are not older homes.
Yeah, 100%, that was one of the basis and principles of doing the rewrite, was to protect the existing property.
But if they do more than 50% of the value, they've got to bring it up to code.
Correct.
And that's been our rule
Yeah,
for
that's forever.
25 years.
Yeah, but that's not, I didn't go near that. I'm just saying little things like a driveway or
That's
something.
appraised.
Or garage.
That's appraised value of just the home. It does not include the land.
Correct, of the structure, correct, the structure.
What these changes actually do, and we never even talked about, is correct another code inconsistency, which is that when you raise the seawall to go to 6-foot NGVD, and we didn't change the allowance for the grades to rise, you created the Amy Rojas house, basically, where she was looking at the back of a 2-foot high seawall cap,
I remember that.
without the right to have elevated her grade to the same level. Before, the old code had a maximum of 6-foot NGVD, subject to no more than 24 inches above the crown of the road, which, for example, at 476 North Parkway, limited it to 5.14 NGVD, and would have left a 9-inch back of seawall because you guys raised the seawall cap.
Why, with regard, right?
I know, I'm talking a little fast because it means second.
No, I realize I'm going to get in too much detail on these, so I'll just.
You're getting a benefit that we wouldn't think about.
Is it possible, so that I don't bore the council or take up too much time, is there a workshop that we're going to have?
No.
Or something that,
So
as opposed to just to have the.
Just tell us our next step, Alex.
So next step is the Building Advisory Board has had a series of workshops where the council was invited to participate in those workshops and those discussions, and some of you actually did go to those workshops. So what's going to happen now is based on this conversation, and this is why tonight's meeting will last long, you're going to talk about your concerns because we're going to take your feedback and bring you a revision of the code. We often spend too much time drafting stuff. We need what's the consensus? And the way this works is so long as there's a consensus of 3 or more, then we will design to that. This is the venue, or when we bring you the ordinance at first reading and second reading, the venue to try to convince each other why something doesn't work. This is the only venue that you have for that, absent a majority of this board calling for a workshop. As a reminder, there were a series of workshops that were held over the last 2 summers, and most of you chose not to participate. Some of you did participate, and we thank you for participation.
From my opinion, as we're about to change the code, I don't want to just really hear this in 2 council meetings and be flooded, be receiving the package a few days before and be on the council.
You could always call for a
talking like
workshop and
this.
see if
So-
your colleagues wishes
so
to have this.
Personally, I would like to have a meeting where we go through the changes and get to talk about it and the little details that I want to have so that I'm not spending the next half an hour going through things like why are there only 2 steps of permitted on a dock or down different little things. I'd rather do that in a little workshop where we have the time and the details. So.
If the council wishes to have a zoning workshop, the council needs to direct us to do so.
At the workshops, I would suggest that you bring the changes to us, okay? And we don't have to vote that night. We could discuss it, and then, because there's going to be so many changes to our code. I mean, if we had a workshop, we could have a workshop for every night for a week, and we're not going to cover everything.
Yeah, and Councilman Bernstein, we're always welcome to meet with staff and give your insight. I just have to remind the council member and the council, it is my job to try to find a consensus. And sometimes people's perspectives are not the perspective of the rest of the council. And so once I get 3, I draft. Once I have 4, I put to bed. And it's your job to try to work with each other in this forum or in a workshop forum. It's not that we don't think that your insight isn't valuable. It's just that I have to rule by 3. And so the board has been working on this. We definitely will have a one-on-one. We want to make sure that we hear your perspective. That perspective should have been provided to us during the workshops that were held over the last 2 summers with providing that insight. Definitely we'll meet with you one-on-one, but know that if only one of you have that perspective, I'm not drafting to that one perspective.
Alex, in all due respect, all I'm saying is only at the last meeting did we talk about drastically modifying our codes. And we did it because of several variances that have happened. As of the last meeting, when we were saying, hey, let's not just talk about the patio, let's talk about the bigger issue, it's only been a month.
Yeah.
And so in the drafting that you're talking about right now, whatever they're doing with drastic changes that you're suggesting, whatever building workshops you had 6 months ago or a year ago, I don't think it's out of line to suggest without that all of us have the opportunity to kind of spend a little more time going in detail before we just get it, and because the way it works.
I got a suggestion to Councilman Bernstein. I understand what he's saying. Why don't we do this? Why don't we have a workshop? You pick 5 items that we want to change, that your suggestion, and we'll have a little workshop and we'll discuss it. I mean, if that's what he wants, that's fine.
I think it's great.
I mean,
I think it's a
you
great
have
idea.
a problem with that, Steve?
No, but I do think that what we ought to do is get it in a form that is proposed,
Right.
the
Yeah,
actual
let's get a
proposed
chance to
changes
do it.
to the code.
Right.
So that everybody has an opportunity. Actually, my sense of this is, let's bring this forward at a first reading. If you guys are comfortable with it, great. If you decide, you know what, let's defer this to a workshop, okay? Then do that and take the time and the process to get that ordinance adopted.
Or one-on-ones with Alex.
I think what he's trying to do is get sort of before you a formal document that is in an adoptable form. Now, it may take you 6 months to get through first and second reading, but I think he's trying to advance the process without workshopping it before you get the actual formal document.
That's a good idea, and then if we have to, and you don't agree on it, Ken, and we need to have a separate
Defer the
meeting
item
on it,
to
we
a
could-
workshop.
After the first reading, we could do it.
I'm just suggesting, rather than, usually these council meetings, we want to get out of here. Like, within 3 hours, we're done. And usually at the end of the meeting, it's just like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I'm just saying, we're about to do some of the most dramatic changes we've made in years. And I'd rather be doing this with fresh eyes, kind of going in there, not with all the other stuff,
Well, part of that process.
and you can get everything ready for, and
Right.
maybe just have the ability to talk about that, where it's just on that, and it's not an hour and a half of other things on the agenda, that's all.
Well, you could certainly limit the agenda to a particular items that night so that you have sufficient time. I think the way the process is contemplated in your code is that the BRAB is charged with the responsibility of bringing forward proposed changes to your code and making recommendations. The workshop concept, the development of the concepts is really, that is within the code contemplated within the BRAB process, so that when it gets here, it's been chewed up, it's been vetted. They're making a presentation saying, we've held these hearings, we've gone through the technical part of this, we've worked with staff, and here's what we're presenting. So although Jerome is not here, I think it was their intention to present this to you as, we've done that homework, we're ready to make this presentation. But that doesn't mean you have to accept what they do. So I think we should bring forward what they've worked on in the form of an ordinance. And then you guys can spend as much time as you want.
That's fine, we'll do that.
Months,
Let's
whatever
move
it
forward.
takes.
Okay,
So that we can follow that process.
And this is a slippery slope I sort of heard. There was this like a review process on a case-by-case basis that would be done by administration, building board, I don't know who it is. And that process was sort of going to be based on prior experience, what you could see going on with the other home and stuff like that. It sort of lent itself to arbitrary and capricious behavior being yelled out by applicants
So let me
saying,
tell you what the
wait a
idea
minute,
is. Yes.
he's using a standard here that he didn't apply.
Okay.
And there's no real standard.
Okay, let me tell you what, he said it's
He's
going to be a
contemplating-
challenge for the lawyer to figure out how to do this.
Okay, fine.
Let me tell you what I'm anticipating and what I'm going to try to do.
Yeah.
Is there is going to be a standard.
Okay, fine.
Okay?
That's good.
And that's the rule.
Okay, fine.
To the extent that there is a unique property, without bringing variances to this council.
Right.
Over and over again. To the extent that we have a unique circumstance, I'm anticipating a special exception or conditional use process that would go to the BRAB in a public hearing where neighbors can come, talk about the problem, and let them deal with those issues.
Without the language of hardship.
Without the language of hardship.
Okay, fine.
Okay?
Okay.
So that when you have a competing problem with a house down here and a house up here, you have these guys who are focused on this issue, understand it. It's not a political decision. It's not a decision for council people to be struggling with. It's a process. Now, if they don't like the answer to that process, they could appeal it here. But in the first instance, it shouldn't be coming here for you guys to try to struggle with these variances. So that's what I'm contemplating, which will give some flexibility on a site-by-site basis if somebody cannot meet that standard. We've got a unique lot, it's 50 feet, it's next to a house this big, whatever it is, then come in, present it, give notice to the neighbor, and let's see if we can get through it.
Fine.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? I'm sorry, I know I'm out of line.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
Can I just say one
Yeah,
thing?
Lynn.
Because I've lived this not only in building a house, but in also coming up with this. I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe the word workshop is not the right word. It's more of an educational session explaining to you what has been found in the workshops. And then you'll get comfortable with all the rationale, all the back and forth that we already went through and why it was decided to present it this way. Because I totally get it. It's overwhelming. It was overwhelming for the BRAB members. that didn't live it like I lived it, to explain to them an 11% slope and a 5% slope, and 3 steps out of a house and a wall, retaining wall, with, we came up with all this stuff primarily because I lived through it, and Chris and I worked together, and then I had to explain it to the BRAB board, and that's why it took us 8 sessions to come up with something. And I don't think it is fair to bring to you some PDFs and some renderings of something you're totally not gonna get in one sit down here. So maybe what you need is the why of why all of these suggestions.
That would be perfect. Just to get an really, it's more listening and just to get an
Well,
understanding.
he'll do that when he brings it to the thing. But
the
guys, I want to thank you
fundamental
guys for
issue-
your hard work. I
We're not,
appreciate it.
we're not done on zoning.
Well, no, we have another item to deal with, but aside from that, I just wanted, just for your own mindset.
Thank you,
The
guys.
fundamental issue here is we have new homes that are being built with their first floor at a higher state. How do we get up and down from there? With our cars, with our feet, how do we make those adjustments? And that's what this is attempting to do, so that we don't end up with multiple applications each week with, are the Gillises happy, or this one's happy? It's not a good way to go about this process. So that's what we're trying to do, is get a standard and then set up a system so that if there is where you can't meet that, okay? Not because you want to build a bigger house or because you want to make more money for a developer, but you just can't accommodate it, then we'll have a process that's not the council process to deal with that.
Sounds good.
Okay.
As it relates to Zone 1,
Yes.
we are seeing, and the attorney's working on a solution that allows, right now, for you to redevelop a property on Zone 1, you draw a diagonal line between the 2 adjacent properties, and that's considered your setback line. As properties are selling on Ocean Boulevard for over $13 million, what we're finding is on the north side of town, we have a lot of older homes, that this home sits very close to the road. And when you draw that diagonal line, you're now leaving a lot of area that should be able to be built to achieve a substantial size home on Ocean. That setback line really limits what you could build. And although we do want to protect people's line of sight, we also as a community need to be adaptive to the fact that we're seeing homes selling for an amount of money that people want to be able to build a comfortable house in. And so Steve has been tasked with trying to come up with a design standard that eliminates that diagonal line from adjacent properties and establishes a rear line of which you could develop your property. And it's not an easy thing because don't forget, Ocean Boulevard is on a curve.
Yeah.
And so Steve,
So
take it over.
we have curvatures, we have lots that are complicated, but let me just read to you,
Make it warmer, please.
let me just read to you the one sentence that we're sort of struggling with, okay, and what's causing the problem. In Zone 1, on the Ocean side, it says, "No portion of any house shall be placed closer to the east rear lot line." That's the rear lot line of Ocean Drive lots, abutting the Atlantic Ocean, then behind a line drawn between the corners of the nearest existing residences, parallel to the beach. Okay, so you have this situation where you may have, on one side, a neighbor whose corner of his house is out here. And the neighbor over here, the corner of his house is out here. And if you draw a line this way, okay, when Alex said, you're leaving unbuildable area for the owner, you've taken that whole triangle, if you will, and eliminated it from being built upon. So the guy has a rear lot line that goes like this now, okay? As opposed to having a typical setback where you just go to the back. And then what happens is, when the guy next door tears down that house, now all of a sudden, wait a minute, I designed for him and brought it to the corner of his house, and now my house goes like this so that I was protecting his view corridor, for example, but now he tore it down and the guy next to me can go all the way out to where I was, okay? Or the guy next to me, if he doesn't do that, he has to come back to my corner that I came to. So now you got two houses that go like this.
Perfect
Okay.
examples on the screen.
So are you suggesting
Oh, there
setback
it
from the
is.
ocean, from the water?
What we're struggling with is trying to
do
get
the
a
line from the back?
consistent line of setback. If you see this middle home there, you see how it's built at an angle?
A little bit, yeah.
And it sits further.
This is 649 that we're talking about with the angle?
And it sits further west towards A1A, okay? So now on either side of them, not exactly sure how we got those setbacks. I'd have to see what happened on those.
Yeah, because that's not a good example, because that house
on
could go out a lot further if you go house to house.
Right now, if that was torn down, he could come way out to the
Right.
corners of those. So that's not really a good example. It's a,
Of a house that sits
But it's okay, okay to use as an example to illustrate your point, because if somebody wants to build at if there was an empty lot next to 649, you would be limited to only building currently where that.
exactly, you'd have to draw your line with his corner.
So what's your suggestion?
Well, I don't have a solution yet, okay? What we wanted to tell you is that one of the other issues that we're dealing with is this unique situation, but we're finding it more and more as people are coming in and they're having to deal with these weird things as these lots get redeveloped. So what we're going to try to get to is a more consistent line so that while we protect the neighbor's view corridor, we don't have a situation where we're basically prohibiting them from building out to a level setback in their rear yard, okay? I don't have the answer yet, and it may take more than my legal brain to accomplish it. It may take some design help, but we wanted you to
Gotcha.
know that this is an issue that's out there. We're working on it, and I wanted you to understand it.
With the 70-30 type of,
Gotcha.
the 70% second floor, are we kind of moving away from, how are we looking? Like it seemed when I first came here that there was a lot of Mediterranean, Boca-style homes. People didn't want boxes. They wanted like no more than a certain percentage on the second floor. It's created, as Mike explained, it created massing. We create a lot of massing in the front and backyards and kind of weird shaped. Are we also, have you guys been, is that part of what?
Yeah, that's part of what he's doing,
Yes,
definitely.
Okay.
yes, that's part of
All right.
that's part of the exercise.
Are we done, Alex, town manager, with zone
On
review?
zoning for tonight. And as a reminder, council packets are delivered to you the Thursday before your meeting, and you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to review your council packets to be prepared for your Tuesday meetings.
Where you going?
What?
Oh,
I'm just making sure we're ready for the next
Okay.
presentation.
Okay,
So-
you're on to Parks Master Plan.
All right.
Parks?
So as part of our Parks Master Plan.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you, and thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Omar. I know you're on
Hi.
Zoom.
Hey.
As you know, the city council this council, without Ms. Mendel, adopted a Parks Master Plan for our Civic Center complex. Now that we have a design for our Civic Center, and now that pump station number 1 has been delivered, we are asking the council tonight, and you do need to do it tonight, to accept a proposed new site plan for the Civic Center complex. Let's go to the next site plan. In this new site plan, we are recommending that we add 1 paddle court, keep a junior-sized basketball court, keep the existing tot lot pavilion, expand the tot lot to this area, provide for new green space in front of the Civic Center, and move the dog parks to the south side of the property. Allow us to provide a workable alleyway to get to the south gate for emergencies only, as directed by the town manager. And that creates a CrossFit area when it's not being used as a road. Provides for parking behind the building, in front of the building. Provides for parking when people are using the tot lot area underneath Golden Beach Drive. And we've already had 2 very successful parties underneath the at the old pavilion. Let's go to the presentation, please. Next page. So wait, go back. So that would be your aerial view. Next page. That's your existing courts with enhanced landscaping. Next page. We're asking to keep the existing pavilion, but give it that fresh look by hiding the pitched roof with a soffit, bringing in wood elements that you're going to have at the Strand. Next slide, please. Creating a lawn area in front of the Civic Center, or Wellness Center. Next slide. Enhanced dog park area on the south side of town. Let's go to the video, please. And so.
It's the same video you circulated?
Same video. He loves. Our residents at home haven't seen it. So the video, as you can see, we have a tot lot that's adjacent to Golden Beach Drive.
I don't see any Bentleys.
A new recreational green space that bounce houses on in front of the building to provide some open spaces. An oversized dog park on the south side. The installation of a new paddle court next to your pickleball courts. Your 3 tennis courts that are there today, enhanced landscaping. Your junior court, basketball, full court. A remodeled tot lot that provides that open outdoor space for parties adjacent to a rebranded and new tot lot experience. There will be 2 designated tot lots. This is for younger ones, and a sidewalk will separate one that's for more junior age kids and some shade structure. By keeping the existing pavilion where it is today, we now bring bathrooms back to the south side of the complex. You don't have to run all the way to the Wellness Center and use those facilities. We are keeping the existing facility. We're not knocking it down. We're just going to make it look prettier. As it relates to what swing sets, bears, lions, seesaws, all of that will be decided at a future meeting. What I need the council to tell me is, do you accept this new proposed site plan so we can move forward with drainage? Let's go back to the site plan, Lissette.
Very nice video.
Thank you. So we can go back to, so we can start doing the Civic Center. The Wellness Center project right now is on hold for 2 things. We're finalizing contracts. Tariffs have been an issue for us. And we need to come up with a civil plan. Should the council, at a future date, wish to remove a pickleball court and add a second paddle court, should pickleball and paddleball no longer exist and it's now Alex Diaz courts, you can see where the space is allocated for those recreational facilities outside of the footprint of the tot lot while preserving green space. The council wanted us to look at how we could make more green space and enhance the landscaping. After meeting with each of you independently, there was only enough support. There was support to keep the existing tot lot. Know that we are also exploring and will be directing the architect to expand the enclosed space underneath the Wellness Center to provide a larger community gathering space that's enclosed with AC while maintaining the existing outdoor pavilion. That is our presentation.
I think it's a great layout. It solves everyone's issues, especially the dog parks a nice size, the tot lots exceptionally sized. By keeping the old pavilion, I think that's brilliant because then we have the 2 extra restrooms so people don't have to go to the gym to use the restroom. And I think it's a very workable, great layout.
I like how you modernized the existing children's center. I think it's beautiful, and I love, since we started this, I've always said, let's figure out how we activate every bit of it and provide sufficient parking, and you've done a remarkable job to the council and everyone. I would, again, ask that before or while we approve it, that we at least leave, you can put it as dog park, but we put it as potential.
No, the dog park is the most, I get more emails from people wanting the dog park. You can't eliminate the dog park.
I'm not,
There's no
nobody's
room-
saying eliminate. I didn't say eliminate.
But there's no room to do another paddleball court. The one thing that when we bought the land, and Councilman Einstein was on the council when I bought the land on A1A, the reason we bought the land was we wanted additional green space for the town. We don't want it to be a concrete jungle. And I think this layout has exceptional green space by utilizing the dog park and the kids' tot lot. We don't want concrete after concrete after concrete. It's not the JCC. It's, you know, it's a community. And there's really no space to put another paddleball court. You're not gonna make the dog park smaller, because that's gonna really irritate people. And you got the 2 pickleball courts, the paddle court, you got the 3 tennis courts. The only way you could do another paddle court is if we eliminate a tennis court.
Wait a minute.
You don't want to do that.
We're not doing that.
Did he do that proposal or no?
So,
Did he do
It's different size.
did he do this Plan B?
so there is
It's
a
different size. I
Different
think.
size.
The wall, yeah.
So in trying to achieve another paddle, the only place where we could add another paddle, there's 2 locations where we could add another paddle. Close the road, or you eliminate a pickleball court. This black dot is a storm drain. We cannot build the paddle on top of it. We thought we
so
could.
that-
we
no, you
thought
can't
we
do
could.
it.
Okay. You can't eliminate a pickleball
I
court.
think we have to remember that we're a municipality and not a country.
No,
Right.
no.
And there
But-
comes a
so
time when it's
originally,
got to stop.
You know, when I saw Alex today, there was an idea that
we
the
thought we-
paddle could go here.
We thought
But
we could.
you'd make the
No,
dog
no,
park
no,
smaller.
no, it's a,
We thought we could.
it's a, you can't.
We thought we
He
could.
just said he couldn't
Oh, 'cause
because.
it's, right.
We did ask the engineers to see if we could add a second court. The problem is there's a storm drain right in the middle of this quadrant. And to move that is extremely cost prohibitive or down to the fence. So the only other location where we could put it is to eliminate this court and put a paddle here.
You can't eliminate a court. You're not eliminating, pickleball courts are used nonstop.
It's my job to tell you what your options are. It's your job to decide and make the tough decisions.
I'm just saying, as we're finalizing this, there's been a serious change in racket sports in terms of use. And I'm just saying to you, to the council here, while we're contemplating this, that the greatest use of all the racket sports is no longer tennis. It's no longer going to be pickleball.
Well, it's pickle here,
Well, because we have 2 pickleball courts.
and they're used all the time.
But I'm just suggesting to you, the paddle is taking over. And as we're planning for the future, and we have a lot of concrete, and I'm just saying, the paddle's smaller than the tennis court. I'm not proposing that we switch anyone, I'm just saying, can we just take a look to see if there's a way to plan to try to do a future second paddle court? Because I do believe in a few years that this will enhance our park, and it will be something that our residents will use more than the other ones. And
Can we do a pickle, on the pickleball 2, can you make a convertible, a one or the other?
Pickleball or paddle?
Paddle is not interchangeable with pickle.
Right.
You can add pickle on tennis.
We did that.
Draw the lines. You can't, no, we haven't. but you
Oh, well,
can.
I thought we were
So
going
you could
to.
draw the lines on tennis to provide a pickle area. If the council wanted to eliminate this pickleball, draw the lines here and try to squeeze a paddle here, it would be difficult, but you don't.
I'm not advocating, at this time, I'm not advocating changing anything. I'm just saying, as we're changing this plan around and we're moving the dog.
This is it, so.
No, I'm
show me
saying-
Where would you like to decide?
I'm just saying, as we are changing the kids area to a little different portion. I'm just saying, is there any way to try to take a second look at this to see if we can figure out?
There's no spot. There's
No,
no,
he said
literally
there
no
was a
spot.
place there. We thought we could fit it here. Earlier today, we thought we could add it here.
Okay, you can't.
Until we
You
saw.
can't.
there's-
So it's mute point, Alex.
We could close the street, but then now you don't have a way to get to the south gate.
There's no way you could do that
No,
for the
you have to
emergency
You're asking
vehicles.
me what your options
The
are.
trend, the trend that Ken's talking about is going to end up eliminating the tennis court. That's what's going to happen. All these are replacing tennis.
So maybe
All
down the
these
road we-
rackets, and that you're going to be able to do in the future. So you're going to have 2
Just
courts
asking from an
and 2
option-
paddles.
Option standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just seeing.
That's where it's going. I agree.
Close this street, you still get around this way, right? You just can't cut through that way.
Two things.
Can I get a Coke?
This here
Yeah.
is a hard turn fire truck. I need to have.
Hey, can I make a suggestion?
Too salty.
'Cause we're beating a dead horse.
Something
Why don't we
different.
just say, down the road, if something changes, we can convert a tennis court?
I'll remind.
Simple that.
I'll remind the council that paddle was never contemplated.
Empanada.
Challenge me to find a location to put.
Can't hear you, what?
I'll remind this council that paddle was never contemplated. You challenged me to find a location to put paddle. I achieved a paddle court at your request. There's only a finite number of space, and I'm trying to work miracles for you. But there does come a point where you no longer have developable land, and you've committed to our residents not to use the area behind Singer Park.
And by the way, guys, this is great. We're just, as we're modifying things and we're bringing up stuff, I'm just saying, the future, as Steve will tell you in the cities that he's going to. And I would implore you over the next month, go take a look at Reserve.
Tennis is going to be.
Because it's like the 70s with tennis. It is.
Yes.
And,
You play paddle.
and Councilman
I
Bernstein,
totally believe you,
And-
because I'm getting more
and-
phone calls now.
and Councilman Bernstein,
They're more empty now than they ever.
and Councilman Bernstein, we 1000% agree with you. And if in the future we need to eliminate a tennis court to install paddle like Fisher Island did, that is always an option available
What's
to
going
you.
to happen? You got plenty of room there.
By the way, and I would recommend that we get rid of one of the hard courts, keep the cushion
Down the
court and
road.
the center court.
Down the road.
Down the road, we can
Let's
do
tonight,
anything.
our purpose is approving the site plan as it is, okay?
Well, let me ask you this. If you get rid of, I don't know if you get rid of one tennis court, does that create two paddle courts?
I think.
No, not within our footprint.
Like, and just as we're talking, are we better off if that kind of, should we be looking at, I don't know what the usage of the.
Let me also remind this council that a
They're
paddle
not
court
a
costs
lot.
$130,000.
I know, the paddle court's
And I
$130,000.
think that, I think the council needs to realize that it has a lot of needs placed on it. And so I think that what we should do is, let's go ahead and offer this one amenity that we're trying to get built for them today so they can enjoy while we're building the wellness center. Let's deliver the wellness center and know that, Councilman Bernstein, know that there is a
Potential.
a land area that if the council wishes to do it at a future date, we could do so. I think that adding the amenity today is an immediate gratification and we could see the utilization.
And could you maybe though do one step further while we're on this, just
Yes.
so that we know? Can we take one of those tennis courts, the tennis court, I guess closest, not the softer tennis court, which you were telling me is really being used a lot by a lot of people.
It is.
And that was something we all discussed, and a lot of people fought against it, and I think it's really has a use. If we take the hard court that's not being used so much, can we just see what it would look like? To try to put, if we could fit two courts on there, and maybe
It
even
won't.
free up a bigger
can't.
talk.
It does,
can't fit two.
let me be very clear. It does not fit two courts. You can add an additional paddle there. And there was this
Won't get two in there.
and there was this misnomer from the council at one point that one tennis court is two pickleball courts. No, it depends on how much real estate you have. And so that's a misnomer. Given your design today, I could take out a tennis court and put in a paddle court. I cannot achieve two,
Right.
given your
But
limitations.
we could do that at a later date.
Should the council go
Tonight,
with this?
the purpose of this meeting is to approve the site
Well,
plan.
now, why are we so heated about this?
No, I'm just saying, because the site is,
I mean, he's just, when I saw this earlier today, not knowing that it had a drainage there, I said, for a future site, if we could do that, you made your input, people want dog parks.
right. The other thing you have to consider
The only
is,
thing I'd like to say about the paddle is, I don't know what the report is like so far about the pickle.
So-
Okay, have we invited the world to come to
Yes.
Golden Beach now?
Yes.
Yes.
To use our
Yes.
facility?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I don't know, but I'd like to get a little report.
We have people,
If you think you've invited them here for pickle, wait until you get paddle, okay?
Well, half of
Because
Aventura is
people
here.
have to pay big bucks.
That's correct.
To play paddle.
well, you saw the video where
Come
people,
here.
you saw the video
Huh?
where people are literally jumping fences to get into our.
People will come here to play paddle. Now, if we have the resources to monitor it, so it's gonna be for Golden, and I don't know how this has all been
And by the way,
working. We're new to this.
I've tried to use like the building link with the pickle, like it's always booked, and it's booked by Golden Beach residents.
So it's,
Pickle you're talking
it's,
about.
it's, let me tell you what's happening. It's booked by Golden Beach residents
But-
for their Aventura friends.
That's not good.
They're giving the key cards, they're jumping the fences, they're putting rocks. The other day, somebody literally broke the lock on it. They're jamming, and so are enough of our residents, I mean, the mayor of Aventura lives more in Golden Beach than he does Aventura pickleball court.
but he's playing with Golden Beach residents.
Don't negate that, but we are inviting other communities to come here. And so you're seeing high utilization, but it's not I'm not sure if your residents are demanding it. I think your residents are saying, hey, come to my city and use my courts because I have it available to you. And that's what we're seeing. And in fact, I mean, I think that we start with the one.
What are the fines? If
Alex,
these
wait,
people
I gotta
break
clarify.
things and
Okay.
No, they're
'Cause I-
accompanied
wait,
guests.
Guys, I got to correct you, Alex. There are people coming from other cities, but there's residents inviting them. I played pickle the other day. There were 3 Golden Beach residents,
Correct.
and we had 1 outside guest.
Correct.
Okay?
Accompanied guests.
And that same thing with tennis.
It is, and you have tennis pros who are offering classes because the resident books a class for them, and then they have, look, we want to welcome people accompanied. We want to allow our residents to bring in pros. All I'm saying is the more amenities you offer, the more you're going to be inviting.
Right, but that shouldn't, in Ken's defense, that shouldn't limit us and not put it, if the demand is big enough down the road and we have to eliminate 1 tennis court to put a paddle court, I think that's the wrong reason not to do it, is because we're afraid other people are going to use it.
That's not the reason why we didn't do it.
No, I understand, I'm just saying.
We never contemplated paddle, and when paddle came in, I said, okay, I always try to rise to the occasion. I found a location to provide you one. There's a future option. By the way, who plays basketball nowadays? Paddle or
No,
basketball?
the kids do play basketball.
I'm just.
Kids
I'm
do
throwing-
definitely.
Who likes dogs? I mean, put in get rid of dogs. I mean, it's up to the council.
How about a golf
Who
range?
likes dogs? What kind of statement is that?
You know I don't like dogs.
It's
so-
the itchy goat.
But
What about a golf
Mayor,
range?
How could you
we
like
do-
a dog if
We
you
do
don't
have
like
Ocean
dogs?
Boulevard to go
What about
over.
a golf range?
We do have Ocean Boulevard. We do have wayfinding. Councilman Bernstein, you have our commitment as an organization that should in the future, we need to eliminate.
Convert a tennis
a
court.
And guys,
tennis
by the
court.
way,
Okay.
we're just forward thinking here. We've been forward thinking on this community. This is just forward thinking.
Yeah.
We get it.
But no,
He might, down the road, but tonight,
the motion should be,
Are we approving a paddleball court? now?
yes, yes,
We are.
yes.
At a
voting on a
cost?
paddle?
Are we awarding a contract?
You're approving a site plan.
Okay.
I now am out to bid. We received 1 bid. It came in at 130,000.
Did Harrison ever get back to you?
he got back to me, I got
He
it.
did? Okay.
So you're approving the site for a paddle. Now through your procurement process, you're going to be selecting dog park amenities, you're going to be selecting tot lot amenities, you're going to be approving final design.
But let's talk about the real cost. 130,000 plus pads. How much are pads?
No, another 40,000,
So we're really at 170,000.
plus irrigation, plus the water fountain, plus your benches,
So
plus.
what's the real cost about?
We
the
don't
paddle?
know because
don't
we
know.
haven't
We
gone
only got
out
one
for
bid.
that. We don't know because we haven't gone out for that process.
This is, tonight,
Yeah,
we're
but you
just
said we're
approving the site plan.
approving.
The site
plan.
the site plan
We're not approving anything but the site plan.
that calls for the installation of a paddle court.
1 paddleball.
Correct. And then later on,
When we get down to putting all the amenities in, we may not have enough money for it. We will, but we may not have money to put
let
a
me
paddle ball.
let me just
So the paddle,
on,
does
stop,
that
stop,
come
stop,
before
stop,
the tot lot?
Stop, because Mayor, now you're throwing a rock in there. This board challenged me to move forward with the site plan and the procurement of a paddle court, because the intent is that we build it today before we even start Wellness Center. If that's not your intent, I need to know that, because that's not the marching orders that I'm working under.
So you were going to build the paddle ball court.
We're in procurement to bring to the council to install that court. There's no need to delay that court installation because it's outside of your area where you're building the Wellness Center. And the intent was that we provide that amenity today, not 3 years from now.
I was under the understanding.
You're the one that
that's
told me to
my
get
fault,
prices.
That I was under the understanding that we were, when we built the new wellness center, that's when we're going to put the paddleball court in.
Why are we in procurement today? That's 3 years from now.
Well, we're doing a site plan today. We're not approving the kids' lots toys, are we?
No, so
And what are we building on the tot lot right now?
nothing, because it's in the footprint of the Wellness Center.
It's just the site plan.
It is our intention, as part of your phasing plan that you've adopted, right? We could, let me change the dialogue a little bit. Next steps. You approve the site plan, right?
Yep.
There are certain elements of the site that are not impacted by the construction of the Wellness Center. And I am of the belief, and I think the council is as well, that if we can continue to add amenities while we wait for the Wellness Center to be developed, we should move forward with those amenities, being very conscious of the fact that we have a limited number of dollars available. As you know, I've always talked about $1.2 million for a tot lot. We are now adding paddle, and there's a cost to paddle. There's a cost to remodeling the existing pavilion. I don't think one is at the expense of another. I think that the manager has proven himself to find the resources. I think we can afford.
Can you make it warmer?
We can't afford a paddle today, one paddle today. We can begin the installation of the basketball court, and we should begin the remodeling of the pavilion and not wait for the project, because it shows your residents, say, hey, we're continuing to deliver excellence every day by adding amenities that we know we're going to be, and it doesn't take away from your budget of tot and shade, because in your budget today, you've already set aside dollars, and I don't think it's at the expense. If we're going to do paddle, and we could start that process today, you
Do it
should.
now, that's more the better.
You should.
And the same with the basketball.
And the remodel of the tot lot.
My only,
I support everything you just said.
my only feeling is.
Thank you.
I don't know when the tot lot's going to be built, but I would want to know that that it won't come a day where we say, oh, we don't have the $200,000 because we spent it on a paddleball court.
I don't think I've ever done that in the 18 years.
No,
that
I
I've
know
been-
you haven't done it, but I would just say, I don't know how these allocation of dollars are going. Do you know what I mean? We don't have the allocation for the tot lot. I know we have it for the
We do.
wellness center.
No, we do. So we have set aside as part of our capital projects budget,
Right.
the $5.2 million that we need for the construction of the Wellness Center, the $850,000 that we need for the site for civil,
Yeah.
and $1.2 million allocated to tot lot and park restoration. That is in your budget. That is set aside. In today's budget, you currently have sitting in reserves $400,000 that have not been allocated to any projects. I'm going to be recommending, as we go through the procurement process, that we allocate those $400,000 that are set aside today. Remember, we intentionally held back $400,000, that we allocate that for a couple of projects. Paddle, basket, guard renovation, and as well as the wayfinding project that we currently have, and as well as the police annex budget.
Alex, you just told us that the pickleball court is $200,000, the paddle court's $200,000. That's 50% of the $400,000.
Correct.
How are we going to, the guardhouse is going to cost more than $200,000.
You have already in your budget money for your guardhouse project. So in your current budget, you have $300,000 or $400,000 allocated for your wayfinding system. All of the projects that the council is currently evaluating already have dollars allocated to them as part of your annual budget
Except for the
process.
paddleball court. I mean, the paddle, we did not have budget.
Correct. That's why the $400,000 is available should the council decide to allocate those dollars for that. As part of your, you intentionally held back $400,000 in this year's budget
I hate
for projects.
For me, all of a sudden we got this $200,000 number. I know we've been holding off on the tot lot, and I don't.
We're not
How
holding off
about the
on the tot lot.
equipment in the tot lot? 1.2 million all in?
We have set aside as part of our budget $1.2 million for Twiddle Park restoration efforts.
That
Does that mean-
includes tot lot,
Tot lot,
dog park,
dog, and basketball court was
1.2.
1.2.
Including equipment,
Yes,
all the
yes.
buzzers and bells.
Yes, because don't forget, the earthwork is being paid for by the $850,000 we got from the state of Florida. Leave the numbers to me. You know that I have always said that I will resign before I ask for a millage increase. We can do this. Have faith in your manager. We've been able to deliver every year. We've already started the budgeting process for next year. We know what the COLA number is going to be. We know what the police contract is going to be. Have faith in me. Because don't forget, before we get to tot lot, we have 2 more budgets.
We have 2 what?
2 more budgets.
But
But if the footprint of the little tot lot is the same as the one we have now, next to the
big one, wait a minute.
what you're gonna renovate,
Mhm.
the bathrooms and the
Loggia.
why do we have to wait for that tot lot if the footprint is the same?
Because we want to mobilize once for both. You're not going to bring in a company now to do that.
Right.
And then bring them back for the second half. You'll get double mobilization. That's why you leave the constructability in the numbers to us. We believe that the Wellness Center project from the time that they commence to the time that we deliver is going to be approximately 18 months. And so in the 18-month planning horizons, we have 2 budgets that are forthcoming.
So Alex, my suggestion is that we approve the site plan tonight. And Ben, I understand your concerns. We're not doing the paddle yet. What
We're
we're
in the
approving
procurement.
it, we'll go out to bids. And in the meantime, I'll come up with, the town manager will come up with a budget before we approve the paddleball court of what's going to be spent on
I
everything
just don't want
else.
to cut our nose to spite our face.
So you know,
that
exactly.
That's fair. You know, you want to, what's our priorities? You want to build the gatehouse ahead of the
No,
pickleball
no,
court?
so he'll come up with a
You
budget.
know what I mean?
For the tot lot and everything. So tonight, let's just
In a ti-
approve
in a
the
time-
site plan.
In a
I
time
agree.
frame, in a time frame of how those things,
I got you.
And maybe once we do that, we can kind of talk about what our priorities are in terms of.
Well, we know, yeah, we know we want to do the basketball court, and if the court, and if the paddle is affordable, to do the paddle sooner than later. So why don't we do that, approve the site plan?
Mr. Motion,
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Mayor, let me just read what the motion should be, because there are other things that we're doing. So your motion should be that you adopt the site plan as presented. That includes the preservation of the existing pavilion at the site, to add the amenities as illustrated, and to expand the enclosed area underneath the Wellness Center to provide for additional square footage underneath the Wellness Center. That is your motion.
Alex, just a quick question, and I forgot to ask this to you when I was there today. There was, in terms, can you bring back the tot lot, the two tot lot things?
Yep.
At one time, there was, I think when the tot lot was when the wellness center, Alex,
Yes, sir. I'm paying
the
attention.
wellness center was faced this way at one time, yes or no?
No, the orientation,
No.
the only thing we did was change the orientation. People were afraid that they were looking into people's bedrooms, so we changed the orientation.
Right.
So that all
And,
the
and I
windows.
thought
Or in the
that we were
front.
gonna have the overhang sort of like for parents to monitor the littler kids
You'll do that
They-
now here.
they-
over there.
You're not gonna leave a toddler unaccompanied
Right.
when you're in the gym. You may leave your 13-year-old unaccompanied, or, so you can watch them from the gym
But-
in this lot.
But
No, but
wasn't
Ben's
it one
right.
time
Ben's right. In the beginning, we talked that
Didn't
they'd
you
be
talk
able to
about-
Go to
exercise
the
and
first,
work out.
first one.
didn't you talk about at one time, though, you wanted
Under
the,
this scenario,
Yeah.
right, the idea was because we got rid of this pavilion,
yes,
while you're here having your party, you needed to see your kids. Now that your pavilion is still here, you want to be able to see your kids.
okay, okay,
Because remember, here we eliminated that pavilion.
And we got the
Here-
2 additional bathrooms.
okay.
Yes.
The third thing that I want to raise is that during our meeting today, you raised the issue of the extension of the wellness center, you know.
The bottom
just made that
floor.
in the motion.
I know, but there's a cost associated.
Not necessarily. It's glazing, very insignificant.
It's still the same building, same size.
We're not expanding, all we're doing is we're taking, I really didn't want to have this discussion, but, so what you're doing is.
I know, but if I got to spend dollars, if you told me I had limited dollars.
You only have one chance to do this.
Yeah, I know. That's definitely would be my first priority before I put a pickleball court.
We have the pickleball court.
What?
We have
I
pickleball.
mean, the paddle.
Well,
I mean, I'd say,
maybe not the same
have the,
paddle.
allocate the space for the paddle and make sure I have the space for the paddle in the design plan.
Look at the money. Yeah, so.
Alex, can you repeat the motion? We got you, Alex. Just repeat the motion.
Getting a little bit frustrated and tired of this. So the motion is that the site plan be adopted and that the existing tot lot pavilion remain on the site and that the wellness center enclosed area on the first floor be increased by square footage. That's your motion.
I enclosed.
Right, how many square feet?
We don't have that number, but it allows us to move forward with the study to determine what that square footage is going to be.
Right.
For the
But
wellness.
it doesn't, the wellness center, it doesn't change the footprint of the wellness
Go
center.
back to that slide, may I?
Yeah,
No, it doesn't.
can't sit you down anyway, so.
If the council doesn't want to.
I'm only kidding, come on.
So as you know, the first floor this is your covered area. So the intent would be that we bring this curtain wall to just create additional square footage while still leaving an outdoor seating area without having to come back to the council, right? So whether it's 100 square feet or 200 square feet, you're limited because you're not increasing the first floor footprint. So the idea is that we bring this current wall and we bring it out and we square it off.
As far as you can.
Well, while still leaving an outdoor seating area, a little bit of space. It's not going to give us.
Is that all overhang, Alex?
Yes, it is.
That's all overhang.
Yes, it is. But you do have a limitation. This is your first floor concrete. This is your first floor.
That's the footprint.
So you're not, we don't want, that costs money. 2 more glass panels, 3 more glass panels, total 6 glass panels, we're talking about maybe 50,000?
So it's an indoor, it gives
No,
us an
as much as
indoor.
It encloses a portion of the outdoor seating area.
The outdoor.
You need more air
hot in
conditioned
Florida.
So town attorney, are you fine with the motion?
I'm fine. I understand what you're doing.
Okay, town clerk, well, it's a motion, so all in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Who seconded it? Who seconded it?
I didn't hear.
Second.
Second? Sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so it passes.
Mr. Mayor, I believe the appropriate thing to do would to be to table your next discussion item.
Why?
What's that?
Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, I'm trying to present options for you as it relates to elements of building and enhancing our community. And quite honestly, I think that the council has reached its maximum attention span. The next item is very complex and will require additional discussions. And quite honestly, I don't think that the council feels the temperature that I'm reading of the council is not to sit here for another 20 to 30-minute presentation on A1A. We should table it. If you wish for us to present it, we will, but I wanted to make sure.
Why don't we do this?
that you allow us to
Do the
present
rest of the meeting, and then if we can, we'll come back to it if
I'm
everyone's
trying-
up to
I'm
it.
just trying to read the room and
I think we should do
the
it.
attacks, so.
I think we should do it tonight, but why don't we go through the rest of the agenda and then come back to it?
That's fair enough. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so with that, we're going to table the Ocean Boulevard wayfinding system. I was surprised. Okay, and we'll go on to ordinance's second reading, M3, ordinance of Town Council of the Town of Golden Beach, amending the town comprehensive plan to adopt the property rights element.
I know, you're right.
An ordinance of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, amending the Town of Golden Beach Comprehensive Plan to adopt a property rights element, providing that all prerequisites to adoption have been satisfied, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
I need a motion.
Motion to
I need a
approve.
second. Second, okay.
So, very briefly, this is second reading of an ordinance that we had passed on first reading, went to the state of Florida, we got their comments back. We're now adopting for the final version, and it's simply a element that should have been in our plan 4 years ago, and we're just updating it. So it's a public hearing. If anybody is here that wants to be heard on this, please come forward.
Anyone from the council?
No.
Nope. Public? Roll call, please.
First reading.
Mayor Singer,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Luskin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Einstein.
Yes.
Motion
Ordinance
passes.
passes. Ordinance number 4, an ordinance of Town Council amending the Town of Golden Beach's Code of Ordinances to clarify permitted location, heights, and walls within Zone 1.
An ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, amending the town's Code of Ordinances by revising Article 4, Supplementary District Regulations, Division 7, Walls and Fences, Section 66-186, Height Restrictions, within Chapter 66 Zoning, to clarify the permitted location and heights of walls within Zone 1, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, and providing an effective date.
Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, Steve, or?
Yeah, this
you wanna go through this?
Okay, yeah, this is a very, very simple clarification of the code. And within Zone 1, we talked about this, how you measure the length of a wall along the side property line. And this is simply to clarify that those walls go the distance of both the patio and the home as you go towards the ocean. That's it.
Okay. Council, you have any comments? No council comments?
Comment.
Any public comments? Okay, with that, we'll take a roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Luskin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Einstein.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Ordinance is first reading. An ordinance of Town Council amending the Town of Golden Beach's Code of Ordinances to establish a minimum benefit amount for police officer service incurred disability benefit due to a catastrophic event.
An ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Golden Beach, Florida, amending the town's Code of Ordinances by revising Article 2 Retirement Division 1 General Employees, Section 24-31 Definitions, Section 24-33 Disability Retirement Benefits within Chapter 24 Personnel to establish minimum benefit amount for a police officer service incurred disability benefit due to a catastrophic event, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, and providing an effective date.
Mr.
I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I need a second. Town
Mr.
Manager, would you like to go through this?
Yeah, so Mr. Mayor, as you know, currently the way the pension ordinance reads for our employees is that they're entitled to, if they have a career-ending event, they're entitled to 70% of their salary at the time of the event. Because our officers come in at different steps, if you're a younger officer and you're to have a career-ending event in step 1 or step 2, you can't live off of that. So with your permission, Mr. Mayor, what we're brought to the council is we say that you're going to get 70% of what you could have earned as a police officer since your career was terminated. Currently, at the current allocation, our top out pay is $90,000 for officers, which 70% is $63,000 a year to live off of for a career-ending event. For specific type of events, stabbings, shootings, fires, explosions, as approved by the pension board. This is not your typical, I slipped and fell, hurt myself, let me get a big pension. This is, you were sleeping, somebody came in to kill you, I put my life on the line. I now have ended my career as a law enforcement officer, and I should be able to have something that my family and I could rest assured will be taken care of.
No. I think it's more than fair. An officer puts their life at risk every day for the town, and this is a career-ending situation, and I think it's very appropriate. Any other comments?
I agree 100%.
Any other comments?
Yeah. I just had one question that I forgot to ask. So in the event that a police officer feels like it's a career ending, but then he goes back, he ends up going back and taking another police job in 5 or 10 years, does that still permit him to get whatever?
So MMI means maximum medical improvement. I'm not sure who someone who has reached their maximum medical improvement could then in the future, 5 years down the line, maybe technology changes and healthcare standard changes. If somebody were to go back into law enforcement in a sworn capacity, then they could return. And so we would have to have that someone say to us, they're now a police officer, they no longer are disabled in that function. And I think that the town could have cause to bring that employee back for an evaluation, determination, and say, listen, you're now in that capacity and we're going to challenge your disability.
Alex, the one thing
But that's the very worst.
when I mentioned to you is on 2431 under definition. A catastrophic event means a shooting, explosion, fire, or any other monumental, tragic occurrence determined by the board at its discretion. And I added, officer can't perform duties of work as an officer anymore.
That's coming in your second reading.
What's that?
This is first reading, we're adding that a second
You're
reading.
going to add that second reading?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments?
Yeah, to the town attorney. So
That's what an in-service.
I kind of discussed this ad nauseum with both
Yes.
the town manager and with the attorney.
Pension board.
So this is a little different than if you had a municipal immunity challenge, and you wanted to get a $250,000 raise. This is not a case by case basis. We're setting a rule, so to speak, for future people in the line of duty.
Let me see if I can, you're doing one simple thing. Right now, there is police officers have a special I'll call it multiple,
Uh-huh.
that they're entitled to.
You make it warmer?
It's
Freezing
warmer.
in here.
Here, go ahead and take my jacket.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yep.
The-
It got really hot, much hotter to me, but
Well, if you'd stop, arguing with everybody, it would cool down
I
again.
arguing with anyone?
Okay, let me see. Right now, the way the pension system works, the benefit works, is if you are a police officer and you have a in-service permanent disability, okay? You get to take your pension, okay? And you get 70% of your salary that you were making when you got injured, okay? All that same stays identical. The only difference is if the injury happens to be one that's caused by a catastrophic event, okay? We're setting a minimum amount that officer would be entitled to. That's the only difference from what you have today and what's proposing here. So this says that you get 70% of your salary, okay? You're disabled while you're in service, you get 70% of your salary. If for some reason 70% doesn't reach $63,000,
You get it.
you get the minimum. That's all this does. This just sets a minimum that if when you calculate your salary, if 70% of it doesn't come to $63,000, we're saying you're going to get $63,000. That's it. That's the only difference from where you are. You're setting a minimum for somebody who gets injured catastrophically.
And when you
Okay.
say "we," the board, that
No,
board
you,
is
no,
what board?
no. You, as a council, are putting that in the code. Okay, that is going to be the rule. The only thing that the board has the ability to do, as they do today,
Is that the pension board?
yes, the pension
Okay,
board.
that was my question.
That pension board today has the ability to determine whether you're in fact disabled. Okay, that is a determinant they make. And in this instance, they'll not only make the determination that you're in fact disabled, but that you also are disabled from a catastrophic event. So if somebody comes in and says, I tripped and fell, and I want $63,000, okay, and I'm only entitled to 50, they're going to say, wait a minute, that's not a catastrophic event. It's up to us to make that decision as a pension board, and we're saying this is what they are, or a comparable occurrence, okay? So, again, the only difference in benefit, because at the end of the day, we're talking benefits, right? Is you still get 70%, but if you happen to be a low-paid officer who just joined the force,
Then the
and
minimum is-
70% of $50,000 is what you're getting, this says
You're gonna get
the minimum
63.
because of the nature of your injury is 63.
Okay.
That's it.
And I think what's important, I want the record to kind of reflect my thinking, is I want to know what kind of financial impact it would have on us as a town going forward. What would happen if we had 5 or 6 officers that this happened to? You know, I'm just asking.
I'd say we have
Well,
a safe.
So if you had 5 or 6 officers, so the answer is if you have 5 or 6 officers.
Okay.
Who ended up at the same time, who were under $63,000, they would all be able, you'd have to have all very junior officers having a catastrophic event at the same time, and then they'd have to pay $63,000.
Which would come out of it. Doesn't matter. I think that it's well-deserved. I have no argument with that. I'm talking about the financial potential impact for future generations. I've been here 26 years. As far as I know, from what I heard from the town manager, we have one other person,
2 officers shot.
2.
one that's receiving a permanent benefit right now.
We have 2 current, under your current plan, 2 of our disabled employees.
We're shot.
No. Under your current plan, you have 2 disabled employees who are collecting a disability benefit currently out of your pension.
Disability. This is not disability. This is pension.
Disability pension. They're getting a disability pension.
Okay, okay. But there's a difference between disability money and pension money. Pension money is retirement money, okay? It's your you know, guys know what a pension is. I don't need to explain it to you. It's your retirement. If you retire as a result of a disability, then this is when we deal with this. Otherwise, you just retire in your normal course of retirement. If you have an in-service disability that causes you to be able to now have to retire.
So, town manager, going.
I need a second, please. I want to be clear. In your pension ordinance, you have two pensions. You can get your pension, or you can get a disability pension. It's called a disability pension.
But it's different from
It's
pension.
how you, the way it's, what you get paid is determined differently, but it is a disability pension. The manager is correct on that. It's a disability pension when you're injured on the job and given a disability. And so we currently have 2 employees currently receiving a disability pension.
Now, as to them.
We do.
As to them, when their disability pension was determined, was it using the old method, Alex? Or?
I stand corrected. We have 3 employees collecting a disability pension. And their earnings were based on the old formula. And what we're saying is based on the old formula, that just isn't right.
No, I understand. Does this new ordinance affect what they're receiving? The 3 people?
No.
No.
I'm asking,
No, sorry.
I'm just asking the question.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say it. No. Sorry, no.
I'm just asking the question. But going forward, it will, correct?
For any employee, including Sergeant Batista, who's being recognized in Tallahassee for his bravery and commitment to protecting the lives of Golden Beach residents, Sergeant Batista and any employee moving forward would receive this.
So, just to be clear, and to be fair, and to understand it, is Julio entitled? He was shot.
No, because Julio did not, so let's be clear. This is a career-ending event. Sergeant Soka, when he was shot, he was able to recuperate and is not disabled. He does not have a condition that prohibits him from serving as an active
Okay.
law enforcement professional for the town of Golden Beach or any other agency.
And it's the pension board that would make that decision.
No, it is a group of medical board, so it's a group, first you go through a group of doctors,
Okay.
and there's what they call an M&I improvement study. We challenge whether or not your doctor wants to disable you, and then we send you to our doctors and we say, evaluate this case, make sure there's no fraud or abuse. Has this employee reached his maximum?
Okay.
His maximum, and if he hasn't reached his maximum, what are the options? Once private doctor and our doctor say, there's no more improvement, you cannot be a police officer, you present your case to the pension board, and the pension board says, we accept or we don't accept. And once they accept, you're now disabled. And you have ended your career in that capacity, and under your code, you must grant them a disability pension.
Understood.
Okay. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Singer,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Luskin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendel,
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Einstein.
I want to show you this real quick. So,
Councilman Einstein?
he said yes.
Yes.
He said
I
yes.
said yes.
He said-
Motion passes.
Okay.
Alex, can we keep going?
I'm just, yeah, go ahead.
Go.
I'm not stopping, guys.
All right, moving on to consent agenda. The following items on the consent agenda: official minutes of the March 18th, 2025 regular town council meeting, resolution of town council extending the professional services contract with Estrada, Hinoas and Company. Item number 3 or 8, a resolution of town council authorizing the disposal of surplus property, personal property. Item number 9, resolution of town council establishing hours of operation for the town beach. Item number 10, a resolution of town council approving a contract with Efficient Construction Enterprise for milling and resurfacing of Golden Beach Drive. And item number 11, a resolution of Town Council approving the purchase of a new generator for the Civics Complex. Those items are on the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposes? Consent agenda passes. Okay, with that, I'd like to go back to Town Manager for presentation of the Ocean Boulevard wayfinding system.
Mr. Mayor, you have resolutions still.
What? No, I'm done. It was all on the consent agenda.
No, there's not. There's the generator. Oh, sorry. Oops, sorry. We didn't pull it, sorry. I thought we were going to pull it. Sorry.
Am I wrong?
No, I thought we were going to pull it, but we didn't pull it. That's fine.
It's good, got done. That's what you get for
No more
walking away.
Diet Coke for you. Okay, let's go back, because I want to keep this
Just
meeting
real
moving.
quickly, with the
I thought you were going to pull it, so I,
now, with the 80 for that, do we got that figured into the?
I'm just a little bit,
Can we go through the Ocean Boulevard presentation?
we can, absolutely. Let's put it on the board. Not that one. No, go to the,
It hurts to stand up for a few minutes.
so, Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Council, as you know, and as you know, we, about a year ago, we started talking about how do we make improvements to A1A so that we elevate the look of our A1A corridor and bring in amenities and elements that kind of tie in the community. So when you drive through town, there's a.
You want to wait?
We still-
I mean,
we-
I'm okay.
We still have a quorum. And so through the concept is called a wayfinding system. And the idea is that as you enter from different neighborhoods, you know where you are because the elements all look the same. With the development of this wonderful, beautiful building that speaks for itself, we felt that the rest of the community did not have the same dialogue. While honoring the history of our beach pavilion, we still need to make sure that A1A has a clean and refreshed look. So, in meeting with each of you privately, and in struggling very difficultly, stressing, and not sleeping, I have to try to find consensus from 5 individuals who all have a unique perspective, and each of you think you have your own unique taste, and finding that balance. Some of you have tacky taste, some of you have elegant taste, some of you have exceptional taste.
Elegant.
We're perfect.
And what I need to do is find,
The tacky guy left.
The tackies.
he's sitting at the dais.
Tackies are out, and if you say we have a quorum,
And it's-
make a motion.
Madam Vice Mayor, thank you so much.
Can we vote on it right now?
Let's do it. So in taking all 5 of your unique personalities and bringing it together, we think that we've found a happy medium. There are still some elements that we want to tweak, but let me briefly present them to you, starting on the Strand. So we want to be able to, and this goes to cost. And I know the mayor says, Alex, if we don't have the money, then we shouldn't do it. And I disagree with the mayor very publicly on this. I think that we need to, I think that we need to be able to deliver projects within the resources that we have made available for them while still honoring the intent of the project. So at the guardhouse, we're not building a new guardhouse. We're looking to wrap the existing infrastructure like we will in the Twiddle Park Pavilion to try to change the look of the guardhouse while keeping it to scale. Mr. Mayor, I knew that you were in the room, that's why I said it. But while keeping it to scale. So here's what you see is by creating a new non-arched entrance, we're gonna keep the scale of the building. And by putting a soffit over the existing pitched roof, we're gonna make a non-modern look modern. Next slide. So the idea is that we bring the element of the front of this building to the middle of town by putting that elegant screening in front of the guardhouse, keeping the existing fountains, creating an illuminated band on the fountain, keeping what's very important, Golden Beach Police, not guardhouse, not security, police. You're now at a police station. Do not come into my city and play games.
Pickleball.
Seals. So creating a modern look, Mr. Mayor, we are going to expand the back to cover the push button like at your request and at the council's request. creating a more modern look, understated elegance. Across the street, let's go next slide. This is if you're standing at the beach, looking at the guardhouse, you'll notice that there's square boxes and rectangular boxes. And that's important because you're gonna see that theme throughout the presentation. Square box, rectangular box, square box, rectangular box, gold seam. Across the street, we wanna preserve what we have at the beach, which is not to hide our beautiful jewel. Elevate the look that's there by just adding that gold band. We did explore the top of the box, bottom of the box, but to create a nice
He's getting good at
cove lighting, we wanted to cove lighting. We did the decorative band with backlit letters. And so you bring the gold band from the fountains over to the pavilion area. You have the same font that you have on the building across the way, and we give it that clean, elegant look, and we're gonna put some shrubbery in front of those walls. To tie in the north side of town with the south side of town, and let me just preference this statement by the majority of our new owners don't even know what the William Lehman Causeway is, because they're flying into Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport and they're driving to their $33 million, $43 million homes on the north side of town because there's less traffic and less congestion. While we have ignored the north side of town, and so we're recommending to make some enhancements to benefit the northern residents who are coming from Hallandale Beach. We want to take the seal and put it on your existing curly wall there, and we're gonna save the footing and just stucco that wall and square it off. An illuminated gold bar to tie in the middle of the town and the south side of town. Across the street, where we currently do not have any type of signage, try to replicate the vertical Golden Beach that you have on the south side of town by creating a rectangular and square box, vertical Golden Beach, a gold, next slide, and gold illumination at night. Simple, something that the neighbor on that side is not objecting to, while hiding, as the mayor quite eloquently stated at his last council meeting, the ugliness of the transformers, poles, and mast arm that's there. Next slide. Unlike the south side of town, where your fountain is immediately when you cross our jurisdictional line, on the north side of town, the fountain is not seen until you're 5 houses in. So while preserving the infrastructure that we have there, we believe that we could simply shave that well, go back, shave that well, shave your parapet wall, eliminate the tail behind it, and create next slide, a low water feature, because we already have a water feature there. Create your box and your rectangle, Golden Beach, your gold band, so that when you're deep in, you know that you're now in that area. A simple wall, cutting the fountain, bringing it down, using the existing. There is questions. How does the water flow? By keeping it low as an infinity edge pool, we're not worried about splashing. I agree that we need to explore a little bit better the vertical fountain to make sure that we don't have the Singer Park effect. By Singer Park effect, I mean, as you know, with hard water, you have scaling that occurs on the rocks and on the stone. Councilman Einstein and Councilman Bernstein this morning were very concerned about that, as am I. And so we are going to explore how do we achieve that water coming out. Maybe what we put is the lion back. We're still going to work on that water feature, but the idea is that you have a rectangular box and a square box with a gold element that you know that you're in town. Next slide. This is where we're going to need some dialogue from the council and some ideas. We don't want to over-brand the south side of town, but we want to try to keep a consistency as it relates to how we create signs throughout town. If you notice, go back to the slide. If you notice, the fountain here is right when you come in. We do not believe that it competes with the building because it does sit far enough back that it is its own element. Now, if you notice on this slide, all of your signage is to the west and nothing is to the east. And so next slide, please. And let's stop here real quick and go to the other presentation. So the mayor, certain members of this committee believe that we should keep signage in front of the building because if not, it creates too much of an open area. Let's go back to the other presentation. We believe that by putting a hedge, you alleviate that concern of openness.
Oh, the hedge would be good.
So it eliminates that openness, right? But to add a new sign, to keep that sign there, just doesn't go consistent with the rest of the look. I do agree with Councilman Einstein and Councilman Bernstein that what we should do is start with the guardhouse and the beach pavilion and the north side. And if we need to add branding on the east side, then maybe look at a potential wall there. And if we need to add lettering onto the fountain at the entrance of the south side. Because we have neglected the north side of town, and because the south side of town already has the most elegant building built in Florida, erected, I believe that the council should adopt this wayfinding system, allow us to move forward with the guardhouse and the beach pavilion. Then we go to the north side of town, and then we revisit the south side of town once we see what the north side of town and the Strand looks like, and not make a definitive decision today as it relates to what we provide on the south side of town. If you like this design element, allow me to go price the guardhouse and the north side of town.
Can you go back?
And bring that to you for your consideration.
Can you go back two slides?
Just so you know, I agree, you don't need the sign there if you put the hedge there.
Thank you, Mayor
Well,
Smith.
you put the hedge there, you have the sign of Golden Beach on the side of the building.
Yeah, you don't need another sign.
So but I
agree
do
on
like
the
on
east side, I think you need a sign.
the east side there with the logo there, I think is beautiful.
Can you go back?
I would love to
slide?
see us do it all in one fell swoop and not just wait.
No, I'm sorry. I was looking for the property that's on the southern easternmost side with.
Keep going.
Southern or northern?
No,
The southeast.
He means that. Yeah, no.
Oh, that he's
go back,
talking
that
about the
one.
house right next to Regalia.
Sorry. No, keep going.
You had one
No.
showing the existing
No.
house next to
It's
Regalia.
the existing condition.
No, that.
Keep going back.
There
There you
one
go.
right here.
There you go.
So I'm just bringing this up because as beautiful as everything that we're doing, if we don't figure out a way to clean up this lot, this is right across the street from our town hall. And to me, this is,
But they're getting knocked down.
That house is being knocked down.
I'm just saying, it's not so much that. You have the fire hydrant, you have certain things in there, the fact that we're picking up the garbage cans there. I'm just thinking, whatever we can do to clean up that,
landscape it.
to clean up that side, I think needs to be done in conjunction, because to have a beautiful fountain and have the town hall and then look at this, I just think it's not.
That belongs us, right?
It's ours.
That's the right of way.
Well, it belongs to the FDOT, but we do manage the FDOT right away.
Say it again, Alex?
That's your land. That's our land. Effectively your land.
Yeah, we could landscape it.
Yes.
Yeah,
you should.
I mean, I'm just bringing it up because it wasn't
Go to,
something.
so we are,
Put the hedge there.
You're saying this is
So-
Water Lane?
so right there, stop. So we believe,
That's our property.
to me,
Yeah.
to me, Councilman Bernstein's, here's the solution.
That's the solution.
No.
Ken, that's the solution. That's the
That's our
problem right
landscaping.
there.
So the solution is that we mask that wall with our own wall, with our own brand. I do,
I was just raising that in terms of, and maybe this was to Jesse's point, like, in terms of waiting, like, we should be looking at doing this.
okay, the only reason I said, I offered that was this afternoon, the two of you had some concerns about what we were doing on the south side of town. I didn't want to derail the project tonight.
Why don't you get prices on everything, and then we could we could decide from
Town
there.
manager.
I just need to know what I'm getting
quickly,
prices for.
In terms of the logo, and maybe I'm fine tuning something, it shouldn't be fine tuned.
Is that the logo theme that you're going to go with?
So it's on your, so that's our seal.
So it's going to be like a gold, it's all gold, no color.
gold, but it.
No colors, basically.
So if you notice the bronze, it's a bronze seal.
Okay.
It's a
But
bronze.
it's just one monochromatic.
It's on the building today. We're not using the color one, but it's a bronze seal.
It's backlit, no backlit.
It could be.
The decorative band is,
Yes.
and the seal will have an uplight because the seal is a bronze plaque, it would be lit so you can see the bronze plaque.
So it'll look good.
Like, it's what you have on the front of this building today.
Oh, we can go look at,
We could literally walk there right now and see it.
okay, fine.
Okay.
All right, Alex,
I think you did an incredible job.
Yes.
Yes.
So Ken, that hydrant and box would be, there would be a hedge around that,
Well, and
under
that, and
your
that-
concept.
yeah, and I was talking to Alex about it, and he said that
We
fire
can't-
hydrants are a different standard.
We can't hide it.
But to the extent that we could put some sort of Japanese blueberry or something
We will.
that goes around
Go
there
back to the
to
one.
hide those facilities.
Go back on. We took time this afternoon, go back.
Go back here?
Yeah, go back, the other way. So we took time today to figure
Yeah.
out how we could keep the hydrant visible but hide it. And so
Nice.
we moved it up and we took your recommendations. I worked really hard after you guys left my office to get this stuff.
But I think you did a great, it's not, I'm sure not all of us would like a little bit different, but I think you did a great job.
I do think, wait, let me just real quick, because they aren't
Great
here-
job.
They aren't here tonight because their children is paying, but the true heroes to all of this truly is Jennifer and Carlos from Access, who have worked nonstop, even through the Easter holiday, calling and providing us. Remember, they were tasked to redo Twiddle Park and A1A, they are compensated for it, so I'm not tooting their horns too much, but they did work around the clock to get this to us, and I think that they found a balance. Mr. Mayor, a motion to accept the design and
wait,
allow us to price it is appropriate.
Can I just raise one more thing?
Yes, please.
Can we go to the front entrance of the Strand Fountain?
Guardhouse?
No, the front of the entrance to the Strand. To the guardhouse right there.
One more?
Yeah,
Stop.
no, this is good. So, I think you did a great job with it. I just think having these two logos on both sides looks a little cheesy to me. And I know we said we have Golden Beach Police on the top, and
And
we
you have Golden
have,
Beach, Town of Golden Beach across the street.
and we have Town of Golden Beach across the street.
You could leave it all white.
But,
Good. That is your option.
or to,
Why
Yeah,
don't we leave it all white? And put the seal on one side. I would put the seal on the north side because people are entering town.
or maybe say, maybe with lettering on the other saying established in whatever you,
No,
just.
we have that across the street.
I think you can leave it all white if the fountain's
Yeah.
going farther.
Yeah, leave it all white.
If you can make
Take the seals off?
water go up higher.
If you're going to put something on one side, put something on the
You
other.
think the emblem looks bad, Ken?
No, I think, well,
On
not the
both
way, not the
sides?
way the emblem's looking here, but the other emblem I like, but I don't think it looks too good to have two emblems.
And that's a
To me.
massive wall for I think it's gonna look dwarfed.
I mean,
on
to
that
me.
wall. I think that emblem, that seal, on that immense wall, I think they're gonna look,
Oh, it might look like
Small.
a speck of
We could
sand.
just leave
they're gonna
white.
look-
Right, you might be
We
right.
could take the seals off, leave them white
You
with
could
the
make
with the gold
emblem
blend.
bigger.
But I think having two emblems looks kind of.
No, I agree.
what would
Make one wall white and do an emblem on
we have
one.
to vote?
But again,
Do
we
have
could
to vote on
decide
that
that
now?
down the road.
Listen,
Do we have to vote on that now?
no, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna buy both emblems in case one of them breaks and gets dirty. We'll hang it and take it off. You guys decide once we hang them.
All right, so I make a motion to, town manager, when you're done, I'd like to make a motion to approve the plan. I have a question. Why do we call it
Wayfinding.
wayfinding system?
So wayfinding is a concept that allows visitors to visit your community that know what districts they're in. And so communities will create a design element standard for street signs and signs. If you ever visit Miami Beach,
They're the
you
only
know
ones
that
that
you
call
go,
it wayfinding.
you know that you go into the Art Deco district because you have now seen signs that are Art Deco-like. You know that you're on Ocean Drive because you start to see the Keystone. And so it's called your wayfinding. So you find your way through different neighborhoods and different communities because you identify certain elements and certain certain
You don't use
landmarks.
Waze?
Miami Beach is the only place I've ever seen that calls their district signage wayfinding. Wayfinding is typically what you see within a development.
Yeah.
And how you make your way through the project, there may be a sign that says, country club or whatever. It's your path.
In shopping centers, we
But
refer to it as
Miami Beach
wayfinding.
does call their big signs wayfinding. Doesn't help you get there, but they
We could
call
call
it
this
wayfinding.
guard renovation project.
Yeah, I thought,
Guardhouse renovation
I
project.
thought they would just be directional.
But then that only,
That's
that
exactly what
limits it just,
wayfinding is.
that just limits it to the guardhouse.
What's that?
If you do that, it limits it to the,
We can call it whatever we want.
While
I make a
While
motion,
we're on this, in terms of the guardhouse in that reno,
Yeah.
how do you foresee this going down?
so I foresee us using the existing columns that hold up the trellis to be wrapped with a product called Dems glass and framing. Dems glass is used to, Dems glass is a new product that's used to create an exterior shell. It is waterproofed. And in fact, most of the Brickell built, not most, sorry. You're seeing more and more high-rises on Brickell being built with metal sleeves and Dems glass affixed to it and then stuccoed because it's just, it performs well under hurricane, it's super economical, and it's just a frame. So you build a frame around your existing infrastructure, you cover it with Dems glass and you stucco it white. Then you fill the inside of that frame with a plastic, and we're gonna decide whether dark or light, faux wood finish that is fire rated in case there's a car that catches fire, and you insert some lights to provide illumination, and we install the bollards in the driveway area.
And time element, I mean, let's say you got bids and then you get an idea, when did you foresee this happening?
So as the mayor just, with his motion is to allow me to go out and start putting together a request for proposal to have someone come in and do this work. This council will meet in May and in June. I'm hoping that by your June council meeting, I'll have something for you to award. And then take the summer months to start working on it because we want to minimize the impact to the public, and your summer months is when you're not here. We would start with the guardhouse first and then work our ways.
I mean, do you think it takes 3 months for the guardhouse?
I wouldn't know. That's part of the RFP process will be to provide us with a time schedule.
okay, why don't we do this? Make a motion.
I'm sorry, one last question.
Oh.
On the first slide that you showed, you had the trellis there. The second one looked like,
What's that?
I think you just showing.
No,
you
trellises,
for
yeah, the
element,
height.
Just to show.
Trellis
you.
okay, so the
saying-
trellis is gone.
Yeah,
Okay.
trellis is gone.
I just
Just
wanted to make
showing you
sure.
that's the height.
Never mind, you don't need to show
No,
anything.
no, good.
Okay.
So, make a motion to allow the town manager to go forward with the Ocean Boulevard wayfinding system to get proposals to bring back to the council at a later date
With the design as presented tonight.
with the design, right, with the approval of the design this evening. I need, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose? Okay, town manager, you have your marching orders. Now, the next thing on the agenda is Councilman Jesse Mandel wants to talk about restricting area where dogs have access to North and South Park.
It's only South Park, actually, or North Park, either or.
What?
Maybe
I don't
not the-
understand.
Not the exterior of the park, but the triangle interior of the park, so that the kids are playing where their dogs are not. So you can pick one or the other, an idea with the issues that we've been having.
We can't even get the people to pick up after their poop. You think you're going to restrict people from allowing the dogs to go to the park?
And what
She's
happens
ask-
if
she's
your dog
asking.
starts to go in one part of the park? You'd have to, and it's the wrong part, you'd have to take them by the leash and pull them.
No, I'm just thinking of enforcement.
I don't think you can enforce.
It's not an enforcement issue, it's a neighborly issue.
Let's enforce it.
So,
So you're saying they've walked more in the middle of the park?
no,
than-
on the outskirts.
Outside of the park instead
And
of
less on the
ins-
middle, so where they play.
Kids are playing there all the time, both parks, actually.
But as long as they pick up, it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't, but they're not picking up.
No, I agree, that's the issue. The problem is picking up. I mean, I see it every time I walk my dogs. People don't, I mean, I don't actually see someone doing it, but I see the results.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Glenn, you haven't gotten to the grandparent stage yet, but when you will, which I hope will be soon. But it's not us, the kids that are playing in the park, they sit down on the ground, they use it.
I have no
you know,
problem with that.
And the dogs are urinating on the ground. It's a natural thing. I don't know. My dog ran in that park. You know, I know dogs run in the park. They
My
throw,
dogs run in the park.
I don't know how to,
Enforce it.
Why don't we do this? Once the dog park opens, okay, then there's an excuse to say, hey, you let the dog park, why don't we get the dog park going? And once the dog park there, we can say, hey, you guys need to, if you want to, instead of using the parks, you need to go to dog park.
and it might.
Can we put
Not allow them to walk?
No, you can walk on the park on the perimeters.
But you
Yeah.
can't, they can't run
There's
loose.
a lot of land on the perimeter.
Can-
so the-
Can you do North Park, back again just for a second?
They shouldn't be running loose in.
Can you do a larger fine if it's in the middle, if it's in the, double the fine?
Honestly, it's just a neighborly.
Depends on how big the poop is.
No, there's so many kids,
Yeah.
there's 600 kids in
No,
there.
You don't have to
double
enforce
fine.
it, it's just an idea. If people can just be aware that there's
Yeah,
little
but
kids
you're gonna have-
playing and-
Or maybe put in a
If they could
newsletter to
have-
be courteous.
If you could block out this area, I would think.
Block it out.
I don't know how you would do it.
She's not talking about North Parkway, she's talking about
Yeah.
South Parkway, right?
Well, she's talking north too.
Mr. Mayor,
No, either one, either or.
Well, you should really do both.
Why don't we wait till we get to the dog park operating, okay? And then we could decide the rules.
Is there anything we can do to do greater enforcement?
point of personal privilege?
Yeah.
I just want to also just, now that it's here, know that we are exploring, and this has nothing to do with dog issues, but know that we are exploring in North Park to add bocce ball behind the pump station, and in South Park, a putting green in South Park.
That'll make some people happy.
So that will limit where people can walk their animals, because they're going to be designated.
I love
areas
the
for
putting.
Not gonna prevent the dogs, though.
Is there,
I love the.
you know, we
putting.
have enough tape on the city, though. Why can't we, with the cameras, we have the ability to basically, don't we have the ability to go in there and see when there's,
Who's gonna watch 12 hours of video?
I'm just saying, one day to let somebody go in there and be aggressive on it, to go find the people that are perpetrating.
And it's hard
the
to tell in the
drones.
video whether dogs peeing or pooping.
Yeah, we got
drones.
drones, we got, I'm just,
Depends on the squat, man.
Right.
I don't know, just, I didn't realize it was, I mean, I heard it. with the
Williams
chat.
Island.
It's
did-
the most
you know,
disgusting
DNA.
thing, it's the most disgusting
Their
thing.
DNA in all the dogs.
But I
Because it's
would
gotten
hate,
so bad.
I would hate for us to have to
But
stop.
we have a lot of people working,
We can't
can't
even
we?
get people to get their ID cards. You think we're gonna get dog DNA?
Yeah, but,
What percentage
You
of
don't
the
need-
people,
but you
town
don't need-
manager, have ID cards?
Probably 40%, right?
but you don't,
How many?
Probably 40 if we're lucky,
40%?
if we're lucky.
And you wanna get dog DNA?
no one's suggesting that. I don't even know where that came from. All I was saying is we have cameras that if we see something that we could go back in time, if people complain about it, we can go back.
So we have,
and know
we
who-
have
and know who
passed
the
out,
repeated type of-
so we've passed out over,
I don't know why that's so difficult.
so recently we've been passing out quite a bit of flyers. We started issuing warnings. We actually issued one citation. I will tell you that your residents say that's your job, go pick it up. They said that to me twice now.
Well, that's
That is
rude.
not my job, and our residents need to do their job.
Residents said that to who?
To us, to me,
Police department?
to me. I was in North Park one day, I said, you need to curb your animal. He goes, that's what we pay you for.
But,
And I reminded him, that's not what they paid me for.
but if we catch one or two people doing it with the cameras.
You had a resident who left poop on the sidewalk,
Oh, yeah,
took
that's
his
common.
child, took his child home, then walked and slipped on the dog poop and demanded that you pay him $50,000 for slipping on his dog.
Oh, I know who that was.
But Alex, all I'm saying is if we're diligent one day, if we do this one day where we use our cameras and see who's out there and who's doing it and go aggressively with fines,
Stop.
I think once we
Get
do
better.
that 2 or 3 times where we're showing that
They're gonna get the message.
they're gonna get the message
Yeah.
very quick, and can we just try that 1 or 2 days?
Absolutely. Dog poop patrol.
Just to.
I don't mean to be, I just.
No, I agree. I'm making light of it, but it's not, it is a serious issue.
Is there any
It is a serious
concept-
issue.
Is there any concept of how many of these are non-residents?
No,
your dogs?
it's your residents. These are your residents.
Because there's a
Now
lot
with-
of non-residents walking dogs.
Not anymore. With the gates closed, you have to walk to the Strand or a residence letting you in.
It's working?
Yes,
Great,
yes.
great. It's great to hear.
Look,
And maybe that'll help solve.
Councilmember
some of the
Mandel-
issues that you're
Councilmember
raising.
Mandel, I think that the appropriate thing to do in the immediate is we need to start restricting dogs in Twiddle Park tot lot area. Address that right away, because dogs are defecating on the
Dogs
tot.
should not be in Twiddle Park.
I
We
agree.
agree.
Yeah.
And so that sends the first message is we're going to limit it in Turtle Park. You cannot bring your dogs
I know. that's
into the
right.
Turtle Park designated children area.
Said you're going out.
When we
And
take
they
the,
can't be off leash
what-
unless it's in the dog park.
when we take delivery of the dog park, I think that would be the appropriate time to explore limiting and creating like crawl spaces for children in South Park. But I think that we take baby steps and we say, first, we're going to say absolute ban on Turtle Park, effective immediately, and we could do that right away. We'll have a a dog patrol detail to send the message that we're serious about finding residents who don't curb their animals. And so I think that's the appropriate right step, and thank you for bringing this matter to our attention.
We could have a workshop on it.
We could do a little wayfinding.
And I'd like to bring up one more thing. I'm sorry, I know it's the end of the night. This is very quick. There was a lot of chatter just asking about the assessment that was levied, and you and I talked about it briefly. I thought people would be here for the sewage. No, I mean on the group chat. Can you just explain, take 2 minutes to explain?
It wasn't an assessment.
So as the council is very well aware, after 2 workshops and 2 public hearings, and in light of not having increased our stormwater fee to meet with our stormwater utility demands, the council at the budget process adopted a $150 a month, $1,800 for the year stormwater fee. That allowed us to continue to apply for state resources. The state of Florida said that if we do not address our deficiencies in funding of our private public utility, we would probably face some issues with our state revolving loan fund, and Moody's Investments came in and said they were going to downgrade our credit rating if we did not address the deficiencies in the stormwater system. In that recommendation, we are contemplating future increases. As you know, the stormwater system has a $5.4 million deficit as it relates to capital project improvements and a $2.7 million liability that it owes to the general fund, as well as the fact that you have now a 15-year-old system with a 20-year useful life to that system. And so the $1,800 is not even a drop in the bucket when it comes to the infrastructure needs of this community, and that was just the first step. I will tell you that $1,800, the additional $900, is less than 1 Starbucks a week.
And
for a community where homes being built at $33 million.
And just to reiterate, one of the most important things you said on that is that once the state determined that we were not adequately raising funds to pay for this, if we did not start collecting funds from our residents, then we were going to be in a position where we would be prevented from getting future state funding.
State revolving loan funds dollars.
So
correct.
it's a tremendous amount of dollars that we would be losing if we did not do the small assessment.
And it's the first of additional assessments, not assessments. User fees that we're going to be, and you cannot use tax dollars. It's based on an ERU basis. Think of your stormwater system as FPL, as a private utility that has to be self-sustaining as a utility. Mr. Mayor, there are other discussion items that we need to discuss this evening. It'll be very brief.
For what?
There are other discussion items that we need to discuss this evening, which will be very brief.
Go ahead.
That is to set a date for your groundbreaking ceremony for the Wellness Center, and also talk about your May council meeting.
May council meeting is May 20th, I believe.
Your May council meeting currently is scheduled for May 20th.
May 20th, because the week after I'm out of here.
Hold it.
I know, we're not yet.
So everyone all right, May 20th?
Hold it.
That looks good to me.
Why don't we make that one maybe 4 hours, since this one's 3 hours? We could really do a long one.
God, I love you guys.
Add a workshop.
Yeah, and add a workshop on before and after.
Mr. Mayor,
Next item.
so
How about a personnel
Town
appeal
attorney,
board
you want to
meeting?
We have no time for levity.
something also?
No time for levity.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, do we include time for stand-up here?
we do believe that it is appropriate to have a groundbreaking ceremony for your Wellness Center project. If the council wishes us to have that ceremony, it would be appropriate to set a date for that.
Want to do it?
I'm hoping that we could maybe do that sometime in June before people go for their summer break. In May, we already have the Memorial Day event, and I don't want to have 2 competing events.
We can't do it the same day of the meeting, huh?
On the 20th,
I'm just asking.
No,
we could. I mean, there's no reason.
Why not?
because the groundbreaking ceremony, do it at 5 maybe? the groundbreaking ceremony and the meeting at 6? We could do that.
Okay, so we will notice and we'll work with the
Is
construction.
that fine with, hold on. Guys, is that good with you guys?
May 20th, yes.
Yeah, might as well do it, yeah,
Good idea.
do it at 5 o'clock.
The last one we had was
Better be able to get the
was what?
videographer there.
during COVID.
The last one, remember, we had one for the bridge.
No, sir, we had one for this
Oh, yeah.
building.
This one.
It
We had
rained.
this one during COVID.
Right, remember we had the bridge one too.
So May 20th, 5
Under
PM
a
will
lot of
be
stress, it's-
the groundbreaking ceremony.
Next.
With that said, Mr. Mayor, a motion to adjourn is
adjourn is in
always
order.
appropriate.
I make a motion to adjourn. I know no one wants to adjourn, but anyone want, second?
Second.
All approved, say aye. Thank you guys.
A motion to reconsider.
Read the check.
Reconsider.